Okay, it is 6:04 p.m. on April 24th, 2024. We are officially calling this meeting into session. We'll start as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. So I will do a very quick roll call here. Mayor Allen is here. Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Here.
Trustee Hanselman.
Here.
Trustee Shuttig.
Here.
Trustee Walreed. Here. Trustee Sauer.
Here.
Trustee Alter.
Here.
Also present with us is Treasurer Denise McMahon. Thank you. And a train is coming. Fantastic. Always perfect timing. Okay, so we will now officially open our what we had advertised in a sense as a second public hearing. I don't know if we called it a public hearing or if we just said we would open it up to people to be heard. Let me just check the website real fast. But either way, yeah, we did set it as a public. No, it's just people may. It's not technically a public hearing. It's just it's open. So we are set to discuss budget items here. This is an open discussion. What I have on my screen is duplicated up there, and I'll try to zoom in more if we need to, just so we can see. As you guys can probably see or have seen, I have the general water. Oh, that's zoomed too far out. And sewer budget lines up on the screen here. I'll try to zoom in a little bit better so that everyone can see everything from where you are. I also have, and this is something that I just finished with Denise, I have some salary information that we have not seen before. I'm actually going to duplicate some things so that we can zoom in a little bit better. I'm going to insert them here. Okay, let me zoom in for a brief moment. Give me 1 second to get our bearings.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Dedication.
So this is our salary page. What this is doing is it's showing what the current fiscal year salary was. It also shows the previous increase from the previous fiscal year. And what we have proposed for salaries for the upcoming fiscal year. Over here on the right, we have how it's distributed in the budget. For most of these, the distribution is 66% general, 17% water, 17% sewer. And that distribution applies to clerk, deputy clerk, treasurer. It applies to the highway superintendents. It applies to the judges is wrong. I don't think I fixed that. The judges is supposed to be 100% general, correct?
Right. So
I have to fix that right now. Actually, let me copy that and I'll paste that right here. Nope, wrong one. So the judges and the court all comes from the general fund. The mayor, deputy mayor salary, and trustee salaries all are distributed 66, 17, 17. And scrolling up, obviously the water operators are going to come solely out of the water budget, and our sewer operator comes out of the sewer budget. One thing we discussed earlier is that Kenny Holbrook is our DPW superintendent, but he is also our operator of the sewer plant. So even though we have the 66, 17, 17 distribution, we could modify the distribution if we needed to just kind of make certain funds. It's not a huge deal, but it would give us a little bit of flexibility as we go through here. I also grabbed from the previous fiscal year, we had looked at the water rates and the sewer rates. And last year was the first time we changed this. And if I recall, we just upped the water rate, but we did not increase the other rates, correct?
We just set the sewer on that one.
Let me fix this. Whoops, too much.
Have we looked at whether, well, maybe I should save question for later.
No, no.
Did
This
it
is
help?
fine. This is an open discussion. So
Did it make it a big difference?
Doug and I checked it the other day. Same period last year to date, I think it was a difference of
Like 13,000 or something?
yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, it's a fair amount.
I'm
So
getting a few bad comments.
we haven't postulated changing this rate, but we certainly could, or we could just increase the sewer rate, or we don't need to change that this year.
Okay. My concern is I don't care for methodology.
What's that?
I don't care for the methodology of how we're cost centering or how we're assigning percentages, because it should be about total compensation. It shouldn't be just 17% of salary, but not all the benefits, because then the general fund's picking all that up. So it's 17% of somebody's time is going to sewer. The cost of that is their time, their salary, as well as their compensation, their total compensation. And what we do is we put all the benefits under the general fund, as if it's not out yet.
No, we don't.
That's what you told me.
Well, I'm sorry, then I misunderstood your
So
question.
all the fringe benefits are in the 17%, is in the allocation.
They're all in general water sewer, yes.
Okay.
And it's distributed the same way the salaries are.
I want to, yeah, because that ties into the salary, the health insurance sheet that we did.
Okay.
So it is total compensation is the distribution?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
But I know what you'd be saying, Doug, because it would make no sense for just the salary part and not the rest of it, because part of the salary is also
Yeah.
the benefit package and everything else.
All right. So I guess at this point we can just start talking numbers, jumping around. There was one or two things I knew I wanted to adjust. There's a couple things that we haven't put in here that we could. We also have Ken Facine, Hoosick Falls Central School. Oh my gosh! You know, I did that
Oh
today.
my gosh,
That is so ridiculous,
your salary.
and it's on the written record. Jeez.
What is that process?
I
Jeez.
think we both have beards now,
Is it
right?
30/20A? Is that the number?
Old habits. Old habits.
Your salary?
Pat, how?
Yeah, just take a tumble.
30/20A, Bobby. That's what
Wow.
Yes, I
I did that earlier today too. I was thinking about the superintendent and my brain went Ken Facine first. I started with Ken Facine. I think, how many years was he there for? 12. Yeah.
years ago.
The first 12 years of my 17 years is Ken Facine's Old Habits Die Hard. Sorry, superintendent of the 12th ranked high school in the capital region.
Yep.
Patrick Daly is here. And as we've discussed in the past, when we come to that discussion, I will turn it over to you guys. I will be stepping out of that discussion as I am an employee, not under Ken Facine, under Patrick Daly.
One thing that we noticed before we start,
Sure.
it's a simple change.
Yeah.
There's $20,000 in the 5110.42.
All
It
right.
really should, it was meant to be in the 5110.44, it's just in the wrong line.
5110.2.
42.
42. This is the general fund, page 6. Expenses, page 6. We had a thing we had to fix. Where was that? Well, what?
So there's 20,000 in the budget for that line, .42, do you see?
Yes.
It should be in .44, it's just on the wrong line.
Oh, so just take this out here, move it down one?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's easy.
yeah.
All right. Now, there's one thing I wanted to do off the top, but this could lead to a bigger discussion. When I put together the HFPD requests versus what we put in, I made one number error right here with the new AEDs. My plan was not to do $400, as that would buy like a fraction of one. My
4,000.
my thought was to put in 4,000, and that would get us 2 AEDs this year, with the hopes of getting 2 more the next year, 2 in the year after that. So when that time comes, I need to change that number, and that's going to increase the equipment line for the PD, the 3120.2. It's going to increase it by $3,600. So I just know that when we get to that discussion, do you want me to make that change right now, so it shows up in the list, or do you want to wait until we get further into things?
I would. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
If you're gonna do it anyway, you might as well. Yeah.
Denise, that same section, I just noticed it, it's 5110.2, I think it says equipment, it's 3,000, and it looks like it wasn't moved over, I don't know, does it have to be shifted all the way over?
Give me 1 second, I'll pull that up.
For the tentative budget, you mean?
Yeah, so, under.
It doesn't look like anything was plugged in there yet, because I think that was a discussion the board was,
Oh, okay.
between dump trucks, and I don't think we didn't plug a number in there
Okay,
yet.
I was just wondering.
And you made it. So, can I ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
This looks like it's
Since we were
Give me
there.
in the
just-
protected view, and I can't change anything.
What's that?
It's in the protected view.
How? What do you mean protected?
See the red? Protected view,
Oh.
I can't change anything.
That doesn't make any sense. Just check something here. Close out for me. I don't know why it does that. That's very strange. I have no good thoughts on that.
Okay, so I'll write down the changes, but I can't make them.
That's all right. We'll make them here, and you can make sure I did it right. All right, 3120.2. I am going to increase the police budget number up. Let me just check. Add another 3,600.
So not to argue that we don't have that much money, but with the AEDs, why are we only going to get a few of them? Like, why are we?
Why only 2?
Yeah, like shouldn't they be in every vehicle?
We have them in every vehicle now. They're just really, really old.
Okay.
My thought was just we don't have all the money we want to do everything we want to do. So
Right.
that was a way of just balancing it
Okay,
out.
as long as we have them in each vehicle.
So
Yes.
we put the two new ones, I'm assuming, in the vehicles that will be in primary use, and then the old ones basically.
If that's our approach to it, yes. But again, this is collective decision on if we want to change that or not.
Also, just knowing what I know about those type of emergency medical electronics,
Mhm.
most of them are made by what's a company called Physio Control. Physio you can have them serviced, and they'll tell you whether or not they're still usable or not. So it may not be a bad idea to have them looked at.
Okay.
They have to be serviced every so often by a physio tech, so maybe we can find out how much life is left in them.
It's possible. It's also possible there may be some that have more life and some that absolutely should be out of there, and that would help.
When they're no longer usable, they will tell you.
Okay.
It's not one of those deals where you run to a dead person and the thing just doesn't start.
That would be bad.
Do you know if they're
Yeah.
Philip head starts? I think they are.
Are they Phillips? Okay, yeah. These are either Zoll Phillips or Physio Control, but
What's that new amount, Rob?
they all will service them,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you.
$50,819.
And the capacitors.
I basically increased it by 3,600 right now because that was the
I
difference.
have
a
that.
bit there.
The capacitors, and I understand, is what goes bad after a while.
So, do you guys want to
Yeah.
invite Superintendent Daly to speak about the website? Okay. I will turn that. Why don't you take control of the meeting at this point?
Why wait?
And I will,
Wait until.
Step out of here.
Yeah, Pat. Why don't you?
It sounds odd, I'm actually listening to the AED conversation, because we're in the midst of this right now, but, it's very interesting for me to sit here and watch you guys do budget. Sorry, I'm watching from this perspective. So thank you for having me here, and thanks Rob for, actually was just talking a little bit. I don't usually, phrase this, put the district on a pedestal or try to tout the district a whole heck of a lot, because the world changes every day and numbers change and things go up and down. When you just referenced it, yeah, we just got rated the 12th ranked high school in the capital region. This
Sounds
week.
great.
So
Great.
for us, it's the best we've ever done. 18th was the highest prior to this. So that was kind of cool. But
That's very cool.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's, I mean, especially
I'm gonna guess that
after
the numbers,
pandemic.
most of the numbers 1 through 11 have massive budgets like Bethlehem and a lot of those.
Bethlehem, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's two. I look at Stillwater and Skylar Raylor above us. Okay, that's fair. But we also beat Shen and we beat South Falls and we beat Colonies, both Colonies, Colony and South Colony. And so I'm looking at it like, okay.
They're
so,
big budget. They're big
Oh yeah,
budget.
yeah. So anyway, different conversation. So I know, and I'll talk about my predecessor here, Mr. Prasine, for a second. I know, even when he was working at the school, he had spoke to even prior administrations, not necessarily in Rob. And maybe, I don't know how long you guys have been on the board for your tenures, but he had talked for many years, both with the town and the village prior to combining services. And everyone approaches it differently. Obviously, back then, I think it had more to do with, actually, this building might have been a conversation many years ago, and combining, maybe multi-use buildings for mechanics and our buses, things like that. So, obviously, that's not part of the discussion, but what came up this year is we were looking for a half-time communications position. And anyone who's looking for jobs or trying to post for jobs knows half-time anything, doesn't matter what the position is really difficult to find. And We have recently, this year's our brand new website. We have a new website, new social media platform, everything through a company called Aptigee. And it's great. We're still learning it, but all in all, it's really, really good. Simple things like hitting a button and being able to call 1,200 parents like that. You know, we can go by grade level, we can go by this, we can go by that, we can communicate in that way. I can do it by email, text, Facebook, Instagram, everything. So it's great. Makes it a little bit easier for us. At the same time, that ease doesn't mean also that we don't need a communications person. We did have one for 6 years, I think. Brian Brushman was the first one, about 6 years ago, and then we evolved into a few others. Then the pandemic hit, and we really calmed down on those things. Well, the world's changed again, and it's come back. But with the use of the website and how it's been done, that need for the structure is gone for us. So really, halftime PR, to be bluntly honest, that's what we'd be looking for. Rob knows this because he developed our 2 versions ago of our website for the school. He actually created our website and ran it 2 versions ago, and then Brian redid it after that, and now we just went to Aptigee. So what came up was can we find a full-time person? Can we not? How would we do halftime? And I'm not sure where the idea came from, but I thought of the idea of working with you guys and then the town together, trying to do shared service, trying to do a community thing. One of the things I've always had an issue with in the community is there's no chamber of commerce. So it's really, I believe, it's really hard in this community to communicate information to many people at the same
Yes,
time.
it is. That is the truth.
And you can make an argument whether or not it's the Chamber of Commerce itself or whatever it might be, but it really is tough in Hoosick Falls. You guys know it, the town knows it, people that live here
There's
know
certain
it.
people I could tell you could call, and everybody will know.
Well, I have to make about 15 calls to specific people, and I'll cover the district. But, so what really came up to me was like, if I'm right, I don't want to misspeak, and you guys can correct me, but I'm pretty sure the town and the village need someone to maybe either redo or rework their website and social media platform. I think both do. I know Rob has done that in the past. I also know Rob's the mayor, has a lot on his plate, and things like that. I know the town doesn't have anybody. I just knew that from who was working for the town. And so what it came to was, we need someone for PR. Our website and social media has been rebuilt, so we just need someone to PR, manage that, pictures, do all those types of things. Your use might be slightly different. Your use might be rebuilding your communication platform, and then the same with the town. But we could also have one person that all of us could speak to. If there's some Memorial Day parade, we have one person that's all of us can speak to, whether it be the school involvement, the town village involvement. Some things would be 90% school and village, or 90% village and town. Other things might be 75% school, what we're communicating, but at least it's one person who knows these things, and that's something we don't have. And so the idea that we came up with at school was to make it enticing a little bit. We have decent insurance, so we thought, okay, if we tackle and add the insurance, like the school will pay for the insurance, and if we go 50% half-time, that also rolls them into the state retirement system. So if someone's interested in that, that would open that door for them. And then I thought, if we did that in the town and village, what it would come out to be like a quarter of the village for cost, a quarter of the town for cost, and the school would pick up 50% of it. If you throw the insurance and all those types of things. And we have no clue, obviously, if it's an individual who would do this or someone with a family, so the insurance can range from $11,000 to $28,000 for us. It really depends on who's hired. And then there's the state retirement, if that's something they're interested in. And so I spoke to Mark and I started speaking to Rob about it, and obviously Rob started the conversation this way. It reached a point where it became a conflict of interest for Rob. He stepped out. And so I've been talking to Dan more as the point person, just for you guys to say, okay, what do you think? And then Dan invited me here, and that's what this was about, is me coming to say, the idea is, if you wanna put it into quarters, a quarter would be the insurance, and a quarter would be a third would be salary, which would be 50% for us, a third salary for the village, and a third salary for the town. I don't know how long this relationship would last, because maybe the village and town would only want to rebuild their social media presence and website, and then maybe only use it for a year and then it's done. I don't know. But I know all of you plus the town would get a whole new website and social media presence out of it. And then at that point, it would be up to each of the organizations or to decide at that point. We will need one. That's cut and dry. My take was, if we can work together, that's awesome. And we would have that point person for everybody within the community. And again, it would be for this year, and then I know on a year-to-year basis, it would change after that. We always need it at school, plain and simple. So would it benefit us? I think it would benefit us from our perspective on trying to find someone full-time. You know, a 1.0 person, much easier to find than someone 50% of the time. So would it benefit you? I would think so, to rebuild everything and take it off of all your laps. And the same for the town. I know I've spoke to the town, they said they're on board with it. I'd be a little fearful of going with the town and us doing it and not you, because the whole goal would be to be a community effort, and then to sit there and say, whoops, the village doesn't want to do it. That to me is almost divisive, and I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, so I figured I'd come here to answer any questions you guys have. It can be monetary, it can be about the job description, it can be about anything. Our budget obviously gets adopted tomorrow, just so you know, so I have my board meeting tomorrow, but we're done. We're going out at 1.2%, there's a tax cap at 1.26, so we're going out at 1.2 and it includes this in it. So this is within our budget to already put in for a half-time position. Mark, I know everyone's on different budget cycles.
You're right.
Yeah, you know, we are on that July 1 to June 30. Are you guys January?
We're June 1st to May
Town
31st.
is the classic January 1 to December 30th. So in a strange way, the two of us, the school, are kind of close. Mark said they were definitely interested as the town, so I'm like, okay, if he's committed, that's great. I know he's mid-budget, mid-budget cycle for him. So, but we're coming up. You guys are adopting soon, I'm assuming. I don't know how that time frame works for you guys for adoption before you go out for the vote. Ours is tomorrow and we go out in a month.
We
So
just adopt it, we don't have to go out.
We don't have
There's
to
no
go,
rush. That's
ours
right.
doesn't go up for vote.
they choose us.
You don't have to do
No,
a
just-
workshop.
Our process is we have a deadline for the tentative budget to be
Right.
created, introduced to the trustees, and then it's our board's job to have it approved by May 1st. If we miss that deadline, the previous budget immediately becomes the next budget.
And there's a lot of things that are starting to rear their heads. Rod knows because I talk to him a lot as mayor, but also as a faculty member. With what we're doing at school, one of the things I'm proud of being ranked 12th is our collegiate pathway, we haven't changed. We keep pushing college. I think we're up to 50 credits now. Kids can get in college. We can do all these things, and it's great. We've added a couple APs. We've added every junior now takes a college class, whether they want. We do it in English. Now it's in English, so they get the option. Even special ed, and that was very important to us because we didn't want special ed students to think they can't do it. So they're all in it. Whether they pay for it and get the credit or not is their choice at that point, but at least the option is there. So that route's going well. I've been focusing a lot on the trades lately, obviously, and doing a lot in that direction. And one of the things I thought would sacrifice from that would be a little bit of our rankings, because New York State doesn't love that for their parameters.
Yeah, they have to get over
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
come
well,
on.
I can't control that, but
It's the
I'll be
whole
honest,
pro-
we
it's the
reached
whole
12th while
problem.
still doing that, so far we've been able to balance it. The reason I brought that up is because of what I'm doing, I'm getting a lot of things, offers, or at least interest from Hudson Valley and Capital Region Workforce Development and some other organizations about exactly that, workforce development. That's you guys too, and that's the town also. So a lot of the things that I'm working on right now actually impact the community. Yes, it's good for the school, but it's more, the thing I don't like about my job is if we were a corporation, we'd be out of business within weeks because our product isn't that successful, if you want to look at it as a product.
That's why you know.
It's a 40% completion rate for four-year colleges in New York State. It's a 28% completion rate for two-year colleges. Any product that was only 28% or 40%,
Not gonna make it.
Not gonna make it. I know the system's broken. We all know it, but we're still bound by New York State laws. So my thing is to adjust it. So what I've been working on is really kind of attracting a lot of workforce development people because of my thought process. But it would also impact the town and village, hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully, for the positive, that's the goal. Help your tax base too, help us all, kind of an idea. And that would be another thing to promote with a common person to have these conversations. They would know things, you guys have the New York Forward Grant, that type of thing, and how things get not that they're experts in that by any means, but how, if you guys have a conversation about something or you're doing something and then it ties into something I'm doing separately, we don't have those conversations, or the town doesn't have that conversation. That's basically where my idea came from.
A couple of questions, well, let's
Sure.
start with one question. Are you, two questions. Are you thinking about 3 separate sites, but one person working them all, or are you thinking about one site that?
I think they'd be housed with us just because during the day, and the thing is this, I don't expect a 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. kind of person. Actually, I would probably lean more towards noon, depending on what they're scheduled, because you guys meet in the afternoon, you meet at night, some of the town events and things. So It's a very open, when Brian first started, his schedule was very open because we'd have a lot of nighttime events. So he would come in later in the morning to stay for the nighttime events. That position's a little bit more fluid when you talk hours of the day. Location for us, we have so much going on during the day. Now, for only 180 days a year though, when you think about it, the rest of the time the kids aren't really there. Sometimes in the summer, but not a whole heck of a lot comparatively. So I think it would be probably based out of ours, but a completely, I don't wanna say shared space where they'd have an office with you.
Oh, I didn't even think about office, I don't
But
think
just
that's really-
shared.
Reaching
Sure.
websites, Deb, or like physical?
Websites,
Oh,
website.
hosting websites. I'm sorry, I was doing the physicality of the person. Wrong. Sorry, I'll approach that wrong.
I should have said websites, not the site.
Interesting you asked that question because, so our new system's called Aptigee. And when we purchased it and that's what we're using now, this wasn't part of the thought process, but it's built to host anything. You can host Shen with 14 different buildings. You can host this, you can host that. What came up today was, I wonder if that could be used for, what if we considered you guys a building and the town a building and then us a building? I didn't know. It hit me. It's funny you asked that question. I was talking to Bushner about it today. I said, do you think they'd look at it that way? He goes, I don't know. He goes, in the grand scheme of things, they don't care as long as they get paid. So, I don't know. The way it's set up right now, it would have to be 3 distinct entities. It'd have to be 3, that's
Right.
my current vision.
Mhm.
I viewed it as very separate. But it's funny you asked that question, because today I thought of that. And I don't know. So I was gonna reach out to
That would be
tomorrow.
even tighter community.
Well, also, you guys do get a service. We have an app, like Hoosick Falls School has an app, you hit a button, the whole app comes up. It's not exactly like a website, but it's made for the mobile, so you can go back and forth and it's a lot easier to use. So if it was something along the lines, and we'd have to redesign it, it'd be interesting, a redesign of saying, oh, maybe it's Hoosick Falls, Central School District / community, something like that, and instead of hitting high school, elementary, you would hit town, village. I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know.
never
how this
viewed
would
it that
work,
way.
but
It could be
somebody had suggested that, I don't know.
It could be a no, I don't wanna speak for the company, I have absolutely no clue, but honestly, again, they're a
I mean,
company.
if somebody's just searching who's, I mean, when you think what the purposes we need it for, because it would be informational for residents, but it would also, we need to use it to promote Hoosick Falls, right?
Sure.
So,
Mhm.
so maybe if there's one landing site, if somebody's thinking
I-
of moving here,
I can
they
ask,
have one
I was
landing
gonna ask
site.
you anyway.
I don't know if it's a good thing or
I
not,
don't know
but
that
somebody
either.
mentioned it, and
Yep.
like,
So
that's-
with website development, you need a domain. So is that like kind of what you're talking about, Dad? Like, so if it's the village of HoosickFalls.com and your Hoosick Falls Central School, how does that change? How do we merge those things? I guess it's a question for them.
Exactly, I don't
Okay.
know, to be bluntly honest, I'm not
Yes,
sure,
okay,
unless Rob can answer that.
Just to speak from the mayor village point of view,
sure.
it
You're
would
supposed to
be.
speak, remember?
Well, no, I'm not supposed to speak to this discussion, but I can explain what we
With
as a
this
village do. So
technological-
just from a
okay.
village point of view, it would be important for the village legally to have its own site.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past, there had even back when we had Briggs here, as kind of a PR community
Right.
She's a public
economic
relations,
person,
economic development
we had
person.
talked about having one landing site for all of Hoosick Falls that would be able to point to the town, the village, and the school as separate entities for whatever information was needed.
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to throw that point of information out there and give that.
And I think the difficulty with that is, as you said, it's a year, maybe you leave. Once you entangle the spaghetti, you can't untangle it.
In this conversation, yes,
Yes.
I understand, yep.
The second piece is, if it is only like a 1 year and then you decide what you're gonna do, it's gonna be harder hiring a full-time person if you can't make a commitment for one.
Yeah,
for
ours
one
is
winter.
definitely, like I said, half-time, that's a given.
Yeah, so if I could take the job as a full-time, and I know there's a horizon that you're not gonna have the money for full-time,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
8 months, a year down the road, you're a less attractive
Sure thing.
employer. to me.
No, I 100% agree, and you know, one of the things I was thinking, I have no clue, I can't speak for anybody, I actually couldn't tell you how long each of you have been on the village board, or each of the people who have been on the town board. You guys know as much as I do, people rotate their jobs, things change, whether Rob's gonna run again in his next round, is Mark gonna run again? The recreation of a website, social media platform, and whoever takes it over should be independent of anyone sitting there, just like it should be independent of me.
Sure.
And it's one of the hardest things to teach in our job is we're all replaceable, you know, and I say that to our administrators all the time, on any given day, I'm as good as my last day. And so I agree with you, to entangle it may not be a good thing at all, but having a landing page that's independent of all 3 of us that's just a redirect site, that is easily possible, one
Better
hundred percent.
idea.
Because my original idea was not that, my original
Yeah.
idea was 3 distinct
Right.
person building, and maybe the town village would look similar, but they're still distinct because of the legalities. I know that, we have some major things we have to post on our website that are required by the state, you guys do too. So, the original idea was 3 distinct things,
And
maybe they
that's
can't be.
Just kind of, because I know Berkshire County does kind of website for a couple different business people, they all their own.
I
We
can
also,
open the chart of
uh,
accounts.
In your forward,
With
have a
state
couple
chart of
$100,000
We could
for
put it on
marketing
there.
campaign that can include websites.
How long
Uniform
was
system.
that,
That'll be 2025.
that it ends?
No, that we
But then we get the money.
How long does it last once you get the money, I'm curious?
It's up to us, be probably 2 to 3 years, depends on how we wanna spend it.
So if we do this right.
But I'm
we
just
get
saying
4
from a
years.
marketing perspective, even if we had our own websites or we did something like that, there could be an overlay from a marketing
Sure.
perspective to market the community.
If you keep going down.
100%, and if it's, he's,
No, they used to be.
this, let's say you
know
hired this
what?
person, and they spent this next year building that
No, 3120.
website, social media platform, everything, so the person switches their job to 100% PR. At that point, the job itself could change, which is really what we're using it for.
Well, that's true, if our website's already built, and in our budget, we just take the website and we can spend that PR money doing real PR stuff, not
It's
necessarily
only
building a
for
website.
consulting, can't be for staff. You can't hire out.
Pat, so how much do you, in your budget, how much did you anticipate for the 50% of the employee?
So.
Salary
Yeah,
and
sure thing.
benefit.
I was trying to be a realist, thinking, okay, well, would we have to pay someone to do something like this? It's, even though I looked at it as a joint position, I thought, that's really an easy job. If they're creating 2 websites and social media platforms for you guys in the town, and then they're doing our PR, it's actually quite a job. So I thought about $50,000 each for a salary. Now, most people are like, oh, that may not be enough, but if they have a family, they're also getting $28,000 worth of insurance through us. On that, so they're at a $75,000 give or takes job for that. Which so we look at it as thirds, somewhere between 16 and 7 or 15 to 17,
Mhm.
15 to $18,000 for you. Same for the town. We pick up that other third, but all the insurance.
Right.
And that's important because the 0.5 for New York State for TRS, we have to break 0.5 for them to qualify. This person may not care in the least about that. But if it is attractive to them, then at least they would become part of TRS. Oh, well, ERS, not
We can
TRS.
just
That's-
remark.
Teachers retirement.
Yeah, teachers is
Fill it
T,
in after.
E is just everybody.
Is everybody?
I'm sorry, but that's kind of that way.
Just a couple things real quick. One, thanks for coming over tonight, because I know what I know in life and I know what I don't know when it comes to web development and all this kind of stuff. It's not my wheelhouse by any means, that's the Robinator over there, but he obviously had to stay out of it. If we did this, would you be looking for like a minimum commitment from us for, like, say 2 years or something like that as part of?
I mean, honestly, I think 2 years would solve the possibility of the 1 year and they're out. After 2, I think, I would hope most people in life, the world changes within 2 years for many jobs. Not just our jobs, for things all over the place. And who knows at that point, maybe the New York Forward can cover your portion of it at that point, if it's subbed out, maybe, we're looking at every variable that we
Sure.
could to continue the relationship. I don't know about the town, can't speak for them in the least in this regard, but I know they're interested, so.
Just, do you know of any other communities that have done something like this?
No,
Or any other?
No, because it comes to my statement before, is most communities have some source of communication, has some type of chamber of commerce.
They have a chamber, right?
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, no, I know, I get that, but I'm just worried, I'm just interested in how smoothly it went when, like, say there's, I don't know, some emergency. You
No.
have an emergency,
Yeah.
and we have an emergency, and, that one person's like, which emergency am I gonna work on?
Yeah, exactly. Outside of the water itself, I can't think of one where that's hit all of us at the same time. To be bluntly honest, it's usually something happens
Yeah,
in the
but we
village, or
don't
something
know
happens in the
what's
town,
going on.
something happens at school.
Other related.
But you are right. Yep.
I was just getting back to the 2-year thing, I was just
Sure.
trying to brainstorm, if you had a minimum of 2-year commitment, that would give you plenty of time to even if you had, built into that, some type of minimum notification, it would take this beginning of the budget cycle, then that would give you plenty, if one or both of the other municipal entities backed out, it would give you the necessary amount of time for the board to determine whether they wanted to,
Yes.
make it a full-time school position or to eliminate the position or offer a halftime or whatever, so that was just kind of my,
And you
My thought
are the
pattern on
entity
that.
with us that's a little bit easier, like you said, due to the timing. Your budget and our budget cycle.
Close,
pretty
right,
close.
apart, right.
Suddenly the town has a strain, and that could, but it's one of the variables that we would have to work with.
right, right.
Pat, what was the name of the software you have currently that you,
It's called Aptitude, APP, like strategy, APPTEGY.
It sounds like.
I'm curious if there might be some state and shared services money.
Well,
I know there is on the government side, maybe through the Comco, but I wonder if this could fit.
one, I'll be honest,
Particularly for that data.
I've been talking to Hoosick, I've been talking to Hudson Valley Community College about some things for workforce development in the capital region, and they're kind of testing me right now. I offered something the other day, they want me to offer something this summer, which is really cool, and if I can get it running. We're looking at 5 to 10 programs, probably like 3 to 5, that they need a minimum of 10, and I'm using the term kid, but they're really not kids, graduates. But somewhere between 18 and 20 years old. They would go for 25 to 40-hour exploratory courses. They don't get credit for it, they get paid to attend. And it would be auto, because we have an auto shop. It could be wood, because we have this. It could be culinary, because we have a commercial kitchen. It could be this. With the whole purpose of turning it into workforce development with the capital region, and we talked about shared services funding for that between the county and us, so I agree with you. I think if we dip our toe in the water for shared services, it's a revenue stream I don't know much about. I'm learning myself, but having the conversations just this week with Hudson Valley and Cap Region, I learned a lot just in one meeting about that. And the shared services funding, the governor is definitely on board with that concept. If you want to use schools alone, not here, but other school districts could, well, Berlin, New Lebanon are merged in a lot of things. Cambridge and Salem right now, we're in the midst of, they're merging all their sports. The North Country where I'm from, it's hard for schools up there to exist alone. They're looking at mergers now too. But they're also looking at it for communities, and shared services, whatever that. So I agree with you. I'd love to figure that out, because the more we can do together, the better it would be for everybody. And it just, this to me was just kind of the tip of the iceberg. If we could get this to work, it kind of shows there's gonna be pitfalls, there's gonna be problems, worries are. But if we can work through those, it goes to show, wow, we can work with a school in town and village and get some really good things.
Productive things for our community, right?
Could be the first of things in the future, right?
Yep.
Unless we hire someone really bad. then- But I usually have a fairly short leash on that. You know, if something doesn't work out well, I don't wanna say I have a short trigger, but this, I think we're gonna know this one quick. If we do this, and whoever we hire, we will know pretty quickly. Can they build a website? Can they manage social media? And can they do all our PR? They're hitting all three at once fairly quickly, so.
Can they multitask with 3 different bosses? I think
Exactly.
that's the-
Yep, and I think right now
Very
we
few
have,
people could do that.
we have the right bosses, I truly believe, unless you guys, I don't know if it would be Rob, or you would appoint someone separate for that, I have no clue how it works with
Don't
you.
be me.
It would be me, would you say,
You can be me.
I'm the lead of the school, so,
Tech guy.
you are right about that, though, it's hard.
Um,
I have a lot of bosses right now, we have the board, so I know it's hard to please everybody, but.
I was gonna ask something, I just forgot.
I guess a question I would have is the 75 total with benefits that you were talking about.
That's including the banks, yeah.
Right. So more so, I guess, drop that down closer to the 50 mark. Now, you may have said this, but was that your contribution to it, or your amount that you were thinking would be the total job payment?
Total, the
And
50,000 would be the salary. in my
Right.
opinion.
And then we
Something
would,
like that.
so essentially, we would pay.
You pay, when it came to the salary aspect, it would be a third. And we
So
would cover the,
16,
something like
3,
that.
3,
Yeah, yeah,
16,
yeah.
And then we would
16,
take on the entire insurance.
And then you would take, okay.
Yeah, and the problem with that, I couldn't tell you, is if it's an individual, then we're only talking 11, 12,000. If they have a family though, it could be
Right.
28,000.
Right,
So that's the
right.
one that's a variable we can't control until we've
Right.
hired somebody. I have no problem at all if we know it's an individual, come back and reworking, because it's 15,000 less because they don't have a family. But just so you know, it's about 11,000 right now for an individual, it's 21,000 for a 2-person, and almost 28,000 for a family. So it really hinges on.
At least you offer a family. When I was.
We always budget that way, just so you know, because we have to budget worst case scenario if we get lucky, but if not, then we've already budgeted for
For
it.
us, it was either full family or one person.
Yeah, they have a 2-person now.
Terrible.
So just from the way I understood it, to make it to just simple for the purposes of breaking down the cost, we would pay essentially 1/3 of the salary plus the TRS.
You do have those that are
Yes.
Yes.
I guess
No,
no.
so they're gonna,
We would pay, so you would take, we take the salary,
Divide by 3.
right, plus the employer, plus the employee retirement system, because if I understood talking to Emily correctly, we would pay the, so if we paid,
3,000.
for example, $15,000
General.
It'd be like
salary.
17 and a half or something like that.
17 and a half, we would
When
pay
you add all those.
the portion
Social
of his.
Security and.
yeah.
You actually just had that conversation, how you break down the coding, that you, it'd be very similar to how you guys just did that. Your code would include the bennies, but the bennies wouldn't be insurance. We would have
Which is the biggest
insurance.
component, but we would pay our portion
Social
of
Security, all
retirement.
that other stuff, yeah. Like,
I'm interested to see how that would break down the social security, the coming in.
Well,
About 18,000.
yeah, and Dan asked that when he was there, so we approximated, let's say 15,000, I think.
I think under, it depends on if for some reason we hired someone who was, had some experience in the employee retirement system, or tier 4 for some reason, or rarely 5, it would be a little bit more expensive, but I think she had mentioned, what did Emily say, like 6% on tier 6 maybe, or something like that. It wasn't, I don't recall, maybe 8% on
I
tier
don't know
6.
if you guys know how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tier 4 and 5, we're done paying. They don't pay in anymore to retirement, they end after 10 years. I don't know about 5, but I think 5's 10 years. Tier 6 is for 30 years, 40 years?
For the entire, for your entirety. of-
Entire career. So
However,
that does
there
change things.
there is some scuttlebutt out there in
Yes.
labor circles that
They're
may,
negotiating that right now in the state.
they make it back to you.
I have no clue how that's gonna happen in the state. They're right on time for everything else. So,
Yes.
It is.
Well, does anybody else have any other questions for Pat?
No, but I understand it a whole lot better now, so that's good.
Yeah, I do too.
and obviously, I mean, like I said, I'll keep Rob out of this, but Dan and I spoke, so I guess if there's another question, Dan can write me or.
When
Oh,
you
yeah.
said that you used the Apogee company, how much was that for them to redo your website?
So what it was, it's a very minimal setup fee.
Okay.
Because it's like most things in education, I don't know how you guys deal with things. They get you in the results.
Right.
So basically, the setup fee was like, well, that's not bad. But then you sign a 2 to 5 year contract with them and you pay them, so.
It's a service fee.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say, the reason I said a year for the setup for this in social media, it's the same thing. This is Apogee.
Okay.
And it took me, it was me mostly, and then I'd bring in Bushner when I had some really techie questions I couldn't answer. 6 months to do this. Now granted, the school has a lot that we have to deal with. And we're also syncing in every phone number for every child and getting addresses and things like that into our system. So it's a little bit different.
Sure.
But it took me 6 months, I think, to set the base, design, do everything, ghost our old site, if you wanna call it that, transfer everything from one site to the other. So even though you talk about that first year, it's a lot of work to create a new site. Because you have to just, and if it's not Apogee, then you're building from WordPress or whatever system that someone uses.
So now you're looking at, if you were to hire someone, this is what you would still use with the Apogee.
Yes, we just changed. And this is, yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I
I
just have one more question, because I really like the idea of being able to send out like a newsletter like that, like just an announcement. That would be amazing, to sign up like residents to have access to information. Do you think that would be a possibility?
So
Like anyone who wanted to be added to our communication?
I will ask a lot of questions for instance. I'll ask that one tomorrow. No, it's a good thing, because again, that hit with Bushner. Was
That's
asking me.
huge.
And obviously him having been a village board member before, he knew what I was asking. And I was like, so what do you think? He was very heavily involved in creating those lists, because it was a little bit beyond me, tech-wise. I was getting lost in what they were doing. But I will say I was proud of myself. We got into the weeds on coding in the fall, and Brian wasn't around, and
You did it.
to give you guys an example, you either have kids or you had kids with us, you know how this works. And in the school system, Rob knows he uses it practically every day. You guys each have a profile. The kids have a profile. And they were using, when you think, this goes to your question, by the way.
Sure.
You need something to indicate who you're communicating with. and it can't be a name. Names are horrible, because they can be misspelled, they can have multiple people with the same name, so you have to go to a different indicator, and they were using, I can't remember what they were using, to be bluntly honest, but to me, they were using the wrong thing. And I don't know if you guys remember, at the beginning of the year, when we would send things out, we were hitting people that graduated 5 years ago. It was like, how did it get into our system? It took us forever. So I got literally in with them coding one day, and I had no clue what I was looking at. And I finally said, that's what we need, and I happened to get lucky and I picked the right thing, and it cleared up everything. So I actually learned what to do with that. If you wanted to do that for the community, I would have to ask them, what would be the indicator for you to indicate who you want to mail to?
Right.
We even have ones where I hit a parent in a family, it only sends to the custodial parent, or it sends to both parents if that's the request, or if we sends this. But with you guys, and I guess property, if you have someone who has 10 pieces of property versus one piece of property, are they gonna get 10 things or one? We have
We
it,
have renters and then we have landlords.
we have it down to cell phones versus home phones versus this, and we have it all the way to who we call and what we
I almost
call.
wonder if someone, like, say I wanted to be added, like, you know, click here if you wanna be added to an announcement,
You
like,
don't almost have to register.
right,
Well, the
something
thing
like
is, as
that.
parents, or is it, we send home every, you know this, we
Exactly.
send home every year, we call it a demographic sheet, and the parents fill out or update whatever we have. Everything is hinged on that sheet,
Right.
absolutely everything. So you guys would have to do something similar, nowhere near as deep as what the school does. That's way
We have
too
a lot
deep.
more
For the registration.
But you have probably, I communicate with, I would say, 12 to 1,400 adults. When I send something out, you guys would read, what, 5,000 or?
Just
Yeah, okay, 4,000. So you can do it by
1,200
household.
parts.
I can ignore individuals and go to households.
How many
So you just do it by mail. All the things.
I heard that and I was like, wow, that
And
would
one square
be
mile.
amazing.
And I can do, I could demo one right now. I can, if you want, I'll say, I'm in the village meeting, I'm just calling you. We can do calls. I'm not trying to promote Apogee, but
I mean,
it
unless
did have some
we're
perks to
for
it that.
it, yeah.
They do specifically school stuff or do they do?
As far as I know, but then again,
Right there,
I
it's-
was in school, so I didn't go beyond that
Can you
conversation.
click on that, Ron?
I did. This is the
Oh, there's
municipalities
a
page.
municipality part,
Oh,
okay.
Okay, good.
So,
Robbie,
is this your website too, though?
It's,
So it's all one,
it's the mobile platform, it's the
And the
website,
website.
and this all in one.
okay.
If you want, I don't know if Rob want me to, I can log in as myself and show you how it works. But I don't have to, I mean, it's fairly easy. Because some of us are really not, I'm not, Rob, tech-wise, definitely not pushing her, but I'm okay with tech. Some of us aren't, I'm just gonna say that, at school. And they have found it very easy to post, to use. There's but I don't know, Rob, I didn't even know they had a municipality one, you want now, because I didn't know if the conversation would go that way. I only spoke to them as the superintendent, so I never had conversations. And this was 18 months ago when I did this, so this wasn't even in my mind.
So this is it? That's the mobile app?
That's our app. Yep.
And as far as the interview process is concerned, you
Either one.
most likely will want someone who's fluent using Apogee, I would say.
I will say it's fairly,
But like you said, it's
yeah,
user
Bushner
friendly.
was very impressed with how easy it was to use.
Okay.
And he's built some pretty intricate things before.
Okay.
And when I said to him, I said, is this good, is it not good, is it easy? He goes, I'm shocked, it's actually pretty straightforward. He goes, they cleaned up a lot of old things in the past and really streamlined it.
Okay.
He was impressed with it. I go a lot with Brian because he's pretty good at what he does with those things. So I'm not being biased, it's the one person I know and who I work with. So I don't have someone else to bounce that.
It was snowy this Friday, you lucky.
We only used one all year.
It's crazy. And then if you're gonna interview people, would you want like a tripartite interview?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
so
have
the
to.
town village.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have to.
You're more tech savvy than you do, so.
I even said to Brian today, if this happens, I might do it for myself too. I asked him to be on for us, because he can ask questions I can't ask when it comes to website development and social media stuff.
I mean,
It's very clean, this website.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it is, I will say that.
We'd have to see if it has a search bar.
we'd be foolish.
I don't do websites, yes, it does.
Yes, it has a
Is it top?
There's nothing, it makes me
So,
so angry.
my
I guess,
We have money in the budget.
so you were saying before that you could,
For this or for the
Right.
you could
person?
have 3 buildings
Like
under
Shen,
the
yeah, the Shen would be the high school, then they have
But-
like 8 elementaries, and they have 3 middle schools, so it literally goes by building. That's the thing I
Additional to a
don't
person.
wanna say too much about, because in
Well,
my mind, I
because
thought,
this is a
wow, we
service.
each be a building. But
You know,
Rob's
which
right,
is-
The domain would be the school's domain, because it already exists.
Right.
And
Right,
legally,
so
you
then-
guys might have to have
Our own domain.
Our own domain.
your own domain, yes. I'm sure there's a lot of legalities.
But I like that landing page.
But a landing page where you just, a very simple
That's a
Hoosick
good
Falls
idea.
landing page.
Just
But then
redirects.
it's a
Yeah,
good,
just redirects and instantaneously.
Click Village.
it's like the
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce, we're
Correct.
creating now.
It's
No,
Like
it's
top-
digital.
Yeah,
our-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, okay, I have another question.
Bobby, you'll be
You're
designing.
using our, who's gonna build a
We do a
website for us?
website, right?
Whether or not we have a landing page or not, a proof landing page. He's gonna build one for us, one for the town, one for you. Do they all have to be Aptigee?
Oh, God, no, that just happens to be who we use.
Oh, okay, so we could do it on WordPress.
Yes, the functions that
Yeah.
you were talking about would not exist, but, yes.
Oh, okay,
Right.
that's a function of Aptigee,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, because it's regular schools.
So that being said, this is a service, an annual fee, right?
It is.
So what is that cost, Pat? And
For
will
us,
will we divide that by 3 as well?
well, it would depend on the conversation with them to know, like, I didn't even know they had municipality up here. Maybe what we're discussing exists, I don't know.
We'll have to look
I know
into
from our, now remember, we're dealing with a very, very big database. You guys wouldn't have that. I mean, I know you have thousands of people, but your database is very simple, to be honest. It's
Right.
address, phone number, that's all
Right.
it is. Ours has thousands of points for each thing going on, so our database is pretty heavy. I think we pay 18,000 a year, once it's built, 20,000 a year, something like that. But also, I have to admit, when something goes wrong, I get it serviced in half an hour. And they're out of like Missouri or something, I can't remember where they're out of. But again, I'm not trying to sell this.
Right.
A person could build a WordPress website.
No, but that's just part of it. That's gonna be part of the cost
So
for
Rob-
us as well.
Rob likes WordPress.
Yeah,
Well, WordPress isn't easy for someone who's not a website developer.
Right.
It's one that can be used by someone who.
you don't have to do the coding.
Yeah, knows enough in coding to do it.
Right.
So without getting into too many details about it, for the purposes of the discussion tonight, being it's budget time, we would need to budget for this year we would estimate about 20,000.
I wouldn't say more. I wouldn't say more, because if you look at that, that'd be 60,000 if you looked at the third.
7,000.
Right.
And that would be like 54,000, give or take salary, which is more than I thought, so.
But to be safe, if we can't
If
find
you,
anything.
to be safe, yeah, totally, that would put you easily within, if you could budget that, yeah, that would cover everything.
Gotcha, okay. I'm just trying to come up with a maximum number. Understood.
Anybody have any more questions for Pat?
No,
I don't.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Great.
no problem. Wow,
And how soon do you need to know from us? That's the
it's
question.
in our budget tomorrow.
So it's already in your budget.
It's in
so
our
it's-
budget regardless. of-
Regardless whether
Exactly.
that pie might be sliced by 3,
Okay.
that line item.
Correct, because I tried to design our budget in the fact that we could run solo if we had to, or we could work with you.
Right.
So that way, it's just, it's doable.
Well, thanks for thinking of us too.
Oh, that's
I mean,
awesome.
that's really, that's nice.
I definitely like the
I'll
idea.
make some calls tomorrow,
Everybody
and
sticking
I
together.
might even just,
I do too.
and this isn't conflict of interest, I'll
Share
give
some.
Rob the info. If I
Nope,
can-
just email Dan.
Okay, if I can get
I'm gonna,
I may not get answers tomorrow, no, this is a different department. We're
so
not-
when it comes to
so-
interviewing people and all that, I was just talking to, I just volunteer for it because Rob is conflicted obviously, but, as I'm not a software guy, so they were asking me some technical questions and I just don't know the answers, but, as far as like if we're gonna interview someone, I asked Brett, or maybe Brett and I go over together.
That's why I wanted Bushner on it, I mean, I don't do the
Yeah.
interview, but Brian will ask every tech question possible, he'll be able to pick someone apart. They're really good at this, they're really weak at this, they're, things I wouldn't be able to ask.
Yeah.
I certainly have no qualms about, and unless anybody else does, about Brett being, because
He
he's more
knows
tech
more.
savvy than, I don't know about Megan, Megan's pretty tech savvy too, I'm not. So, I know I'm not volunteering my services.
So long as you'll still help me with the
I
writing.
get under
I'm good.
duress,
My
I don't
questions
know
will
the
be
first thing.
LCR related, and honestly, how well they write. That's really important to me, because from my end, it's about writing and communication. From Brian's end, it's about technology, can they navigate, can they build?
Sure.
You guys would obviously be, having the idea of 3 bosses, the concept of working with different people with probably slightly strong personalities, like I need this now, or something's happening, that's a skill set too. It's a different skill set. So, yeah,
right? You get into some complex time management things there,
I was gonna
right?
say time management.
Two people that may not know the other one wants something done at the same time,
Correct.
pressing on the
And
same
do they
person.
have the ability to tell both of us, hey, I need to pick one or the other, blah, blah, blah.
Discern what's the higher priority.
I do
right?
think we have a really, the village and town and who we are right now has a good relationship, we can talk to each other. And if I know you guys have something really bad happening, go do this, I'll take care of it. Because I can, that's where Rob and I do have a little bit of an advantage here. He could do something if he had to, I can do something if we have to. I don't know if anyone in the town can. I'm not speaking for them, I'm not speaking for them. I've been doing it already for a year, so I can do it if I had to.
Right.
So,
Just on that point, if the town doesn't come into the picture, because
I wouldn't have come to you if they hadn't said yes, to be bluntly honest.
well, I know they're having problems being under your tax cap and getting very nervous about the budget next year.
Yeah,
So
I know all of it.
So, but if they didn't come in, how does that change the picture?
Well, again, to me, it doesn't.
Changes the dollars, changes.
It changes the dollars, but I'd have to look at our end of it, because you can't hire someone and then, you can, but I would never do that, hire someone and then 3 months later, 6 months later, because of the town cycle of their budget, be like, whoops, we can't afford this, and now you're at 0.75. You're not a full-time employee, that's not ethical to me. So I would have to figure something out, we'd have to do something. I wouldn't over obligate you, if that's the question. My take would be, if it's total salary, quarter, half, that's all I would expect, quarter.
Okay.
I'd have to figure it out. I don't know how I'd figure it out, but I'd have to figure it out. There's an ethic there to me. And again, I don't know if, let's say the town did back out, I don't know if you would wanna do it or not, because, again, it's the same argument in reverse, do we wanna work with you but not the town? I'll work with anybody, but I'm also trying to make it a unified pitch to the entire community.
Well, I mean, I guess the way I look at it, that's the ultimate goal, but our secondary goal is to get what we need out of the situation.
Of course.
And so if the town chose not to, that's their loss is the way I look at it. We need, if we could work with the school together to get the community out there, get the information out there to everybody, that's what we wanna do. I mean, that's the way I feel about it.
I agree with Bobby. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but if they don't want to participate,
Right.
we shouldn't back out.
No.
You know.
Well, if we make a commitment and they change their mind, I don't think we should back out and then leave the school high and dry. So that's the way I feel about it. So.
Concur.
Unless anybody's got any more questions for Pat, thank you very much.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Well,
We'll be in touch.
Thanks for, that was long, so I appreciate it.
Oh, no, it was very informative. That was great.
I think you guys meant to say thank you, Ken, for seeing. So I sorry about that.
I kept standing there waiting for that. I was like, where's the Ken comment? Good luck on the budget stuff thing, I was like, so.
Mr. Facina's busy up and talking, he wants to talk to Governor Hochul about the
Dude.
Indian. Give it up, Cambridge.
No
Give it.
comments.
Yeah, what is
All
it-
right.
What is it now?
Well, they're
He
trying to
wants
resolve
go
it.
try and be a mediator so Cambridge can have their Indian back.
Yeah, they're trying to. He's trying to resolve it. Ken, I think will do well at that. So just as a point of process on this, and again, not speaking opinion on any of this, just processes of if and how this would work. Putting it in the budget doesn't necessitate that it will absolutely happen. And when we've done things like this in the past, we've come up with a shared service agreement between the municipalities that's drafted by attorneys, reviewed by attorneys, approved by boards, and such and so. So it would be my recommendation as mayor to, anytime we have something very specific like this, the shared service agreement would be put forward, worked on by the attorneys and approved by a board. We did that most recently, it was several years back, but it was with the town on something.
Is it police, the court?
I don't remember.
Assessor?
I'll have to look.
Well, it's definitely the assessor we did.
No, there was one made before. I think it had to do with the water and sewer lines up outside of the village and the town. It was like early in the first couple years. But anyway, I just want to throw that out as a point of procedure, really.
But we also have to, I mean, that alone is one thing, but don't we have to look at, like, we obviously need to have a website better than what we have.
Right.
and Rob's the one who knows how to do it, right? But
Mhm.
Rob's got so much to do, so if
Mhm.
we bring somebody in to do it from the outside, what would that cost? So we can compare it to what this would cost.
Yeah, if you hire
That's-
someone outside consultant, you're gonna
Yeah.
be paying, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that
like
was.
what did your friend say?
So, Jeremy Moses, he just redid, I don't know if you can bring it up. Rob.
Sure. What's the site?
It's in the,
The
Gloversville, isn't it?
yeah, Gloversville, I don't know if it's like gloversville.com, I just sent it to
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, I got it, yeah.
Cityofgloversville.com.
Fulton County.
So what does he
This is what
charge
he
to
does.
do this, something
He
like this?
told me that he charged them $5,400 to develop the website. After that, we walk away with a fully built website that we can do updates to. If we need him to change anything, it's $100 an hour, and he said it rarely takes over an hour.
I
But this
read
would mean that
message
if,
completely wrong.
oh yeah,
Because that was my concern with that was I thought you had said 54,000 in the message,
no,
and I was like, she's talking 54,000.
No.
He's talking 50,000 total.
50
Those don't match.
$5,400
$5,400.
to
Okay,
build
that's a
it,
lot better now.
right?
Yeah.
It sounds good to me.
And he uses WordPress,
And he uses WordPress.
but we can't call everybody.
But my
Right. I know, dang it.
I know, you
But-
can really get some.
But he
value.
can't what do you mean?
You remember, like, we were talking about the announcements? I'm like,
Yeah.
that would be so.
So you can't do that?
You wouldn't be
No,
able to
no.
do that. Apogee is totally different, and I'm not into paying $18,000 a year for that service. It's cool, but it's not that cool.
my only thing with
That's my
Apogee
opinion.
though, it sounds like, you know, God forbid something happens to any of us,
Mhm.
or one of us decides to step down at any point or anything of that nature. If the person we hired to do this, something happens to them, they're no longer in there.
Right. We
One
don't have
of us-
access to it.
Right.
I worry
So-
about that too.
But if one of us does have access to it, or what, it sounds like Apogee, anybody can do it, as far as like understanding what needs to be done and how to just post something, send something. Whereas WordPress is not as user friendly. Yeah, it's not extremely difficult, but there is a little bit more to it where that's my concern of, as more so myself, being considered the young tech person, I have no idea how to use
I've never
WordPress.
used WordPress, but Rob, what would
Like
you say,
that's-
like, as far as
So
your...
But
WordPress
that's-
allows you to have different types of users with logins. So the way I had envisioned designing the website was I would be the sort of the power user who could get into the coding side, but the clerk could have their own special login, and that would allow them to create a post. And when you create a post, you can
Right.
click it as a notice or you click it as a news item. And WordPress is configured by the coder to say, oh, this is tagged as a notice. That means it's going to show up in a small font, maybe in the top right corner, and it's going to list the most recent 3. So I always envisioned the clerk, at least the clerk, and you can have many, many users for WordPress. Office users would have the ability to go in, log in, type in a post, hit submit, and the website handles it. And when it's saved to the website, if it's, say, on the home page on the top, it will link the top 3. It will automatically archive it, so if you want to go search through all news items or tags or whatever, it does it. That's the beauty of WordPress. So,
What else? And then it was like, to host it, just to have it, it's $30 a year or something. And like I said, if you needed to put something on there, but it wouldn't, I don't believe it's like he's as active as what he's talking about.
Right.
it sounded
It's
to
a
me
huge
like
difference.
the package that they had was website and communication
Yes.
to people.
Yep.
There's probably ways out there to just get a communication to people who want it.
Right.
As something simple as like a constant contact form versus something bigger like like phone distribution and things of that. I'm sure that's out there, but
Well, that was one thing that.
You
Yeah.
can always use the free, what's it called, chimp mail thing?
Survey?
MailChimp.
MailChimp.
MailChimp. Yep.
Well, I thought of maybe Zooming Jeremy and asking him questions. I don't know if you guys would be open to that in one of our meetings. I mean, this is what he does. His company is called Divide by 9. He's a website developer. You can go on divideby9.com. It shows you like the breakdowns and everything. I know it's kind of like off the cost. I'm just like, seems like a lot of money. What are our options? Like, I really think we should be. I know it sounds like a cool like joint services, the hub, but it's just to me a lot to be like, yep, we're good with that.
Well, for the point of facilitating things tonight, I threw in just for the sake of ease in our budget under the village clerk line. I threw in an extra line.
Okay.
I just put it as possible data, website, person, or services.
Okay.
We can change that to whatever we want to call it, and we can throw in the number so it adds up and fills properly.
Okay.
For the point of tonight as a budget, we are just deciding that we are going to budget X amount of money for this use. It can be a board decision later if we decide we want to go with something like that, or go with the person you had, or something completely different.
Okay. I just
And
think we need more time to think about
Sure.
it.
Well, we're not making a commitment tonight to join with the school, I mean,
No.
right? We just need, I mean, we're here for the budget to make sure
Right.
we need to know where to put that money in there.
Right.
And
Right,
to
that's
the
a
point of
no-brainer.
facilitating this, we are turning this over to you guys. We will ask questions, show you whatever you want, and you can go in whatever order or however you want. So I don't know if anybody has a burning desire to jump in and start throwing numbers around.
No, I think we
But
can go back to general revenue and just go
Yeah.
page
Sure.
by page, so we're systematic about it.
Can I just make an announcement first?
Please.
Did you all wanna know?
Please,
Yeah,
please.
of course.
Candy Stall's back.
Why? Dad, why? That's
Same
Where?
Bobby,
Where?
Bobby Blank.
same place.
I don't know, I
Fifth
just
Street,
got
wherever?
a she's back in town. Somebody said looks like she just got off the bus.
I'm just being quiet. I almost said.
It's what it is.
She's,
Residents come and
gonna
go.
be a more productive
Yes.
All right.
member of our-
Sometimes for different
Budgets. What would you guys like to discuss? Ask away. You can just go through lines. You can
I,
Yeah, just,
go for it, Doug.
I can start.
Sure, please.
Thank Denise for meeting with me and spending some time.
Sure.
First of all, some of the lines, as you go through the budget, is over a 4-year average, which includes the 2 COVID years, which throw off both revenue and expenses and different things.
I hit a couple columns, by the way, but I can unhide them. I just, for the sake of seeing things, I hit a couple previous years.
Well, for utility
they're up there.
tax,
What's the line item, 1130?
1130.
Okay.
We're on trajectory of raising over $32,000. And if you look at the past 2 years, we were hitting 38, 33.
Let me
And we actually
unhide.
went down, so I would suggest 32,000. Actually, it's 32,887.
Where did that go?
1130.
Yeah.
1 minute. Let me unhide those columns. Okay, so he's talking utility tax right here.
yeah.
Let me zoom in a little bit more.
So can I just ask what the utility tax is? Is that a portion of your utility bills that's kicked to the municipality?
National Grid, all the
Oh,
utilities
it's like
pay
they
a
do for
portion
fire
of their
departments
gross
and all that
revenue.
stuff. Okay.
So if you project it out from that 21 for the first 6 months, we're really up to 32, over 32,000. So I think we under budgeted that.
We can
And
certainly
it's even
change
under
it.
budget from the previous 2 years, so
Right.
I find a couple $1,000 there.
It's no problem to
Right,
let's.
definitely.
Do you want to throw out a number to change it to?
32,000.
32,000? Is that, Denise, do you feel like that makes sense?
Mhm.
Alright, so I'm gonna change this number to 32,000. I'm gonna mark it as I'm just gonna mark things red so I can see them and note them previously.
I had questions about refuge and transfer ticket. I don't know nothing about any of that.
I'm gonna hide
I'll
these
leave
again.
You guys to make some suggestions on that. Building permits.
What do
Line
you-
2591.
Okay. Zoom out just a little bit.
Our trajectory right now is $9,179 for. And we're on the
8-month
trajectory of
actual.
raising 13,000 this year, depending on when building permits. If you take the first 6 months, we should be raising more money. I don't know, we went up at the 12.5.
That's 8 months though, right, Doug? Not 6.
The actual column is always is 8
It's 8
months.
months, yeah,
It's
we're
8
on that
months.
trajectory for 8 months, yes, it's 13,790.
Right, Rich, you're talking like 1,100, almost 1,100.
Oh, that makes sense.
Maybe just add 1,000 or 2,000.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, and one of the things I feel like you brought up to me, but it probably came out of your conversation. If we are looking to hire someone else to code, to help with code
Yeah.
things, that's going to lead to more things being
More
processed.
revenue.
Well, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
But I think we need to deal with it.
So what?
Because if we're hiring somebody, well, hey, we're not getting any money to speak of in terms of our fees and stuff. And there's some decisions I think we have to make.
Which line? What for building
well,
permit?
everything. You have
25.
building violation codes.
Well, I'm sorry. Before that, you would talk about
25.
Building permits going up to 13,000.
13 even. You guys good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Did you get that one,
Yeah.
Denise? Okay. Got it?
Now, the whole building violation fee,
Mhm.
only $200.
That
Yeah.
is.
And let me go back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
We did a property maintenance fine that ranges from 50 to 500 bucks. We
Mhm.
did a vacant building registration, which we haven't done,
Mhm.
and I think, well, I'm not even sure we set the fee. I know Bobby Decker was saying, let's make it high, like $1,000,
You
but
find
we
that.
haven't done anything,
The law says up to 5,000.
yeah. So-
But I think that's
Is
the
that the escrow?
court that
Yeah,
would.
there was an escrow, there was a fine, there was the board shall establish a fee is what it says. Plus, there's an escrow of up to 5,000 determined by the building inspector, we retain 10% of that. So
Just so-
there's two pieces to it.
Was one one's the violation, right?
Violation.
And then the other one
It was a registration.
I'm leaving, I put money in it, which was,
I
I
think
think a
we talked
minimum
about
of 1,000.
Yeah, we talked about 1,000. But I don't think we formally approved the rate
For the violation.
for the registration fee.
1,000
Building
to
registration requirement. I'm looking at that right now.
1,000 to 5,000.
I mean, there's a couple of these areas, I think if we can nail it down, then we can have the money to pay for a code enforcement officer. But paying code enforcement officer and not bringing in the revenue.
That's incentivizing, isn't it?
And I think the village retains 10%
Of the escrow,
of the escrow, right?
yeah. And I don't know how many vacant buildings we have that would pay a registration fee. I don't know what that number is, but it's probably a good number,
We really need to do what's it called? We need to do an inventory.
yeah. I mean, we can ask Mark what that would be.
We had done one, Mark and I had come up with one a year or two ago. On the total list, I wanna say, and it wasn't all, well, there's vacant and there's walked away from, and there's, I wanna say it was 88 or 92.
That'd be a lot of money.
But yeah, I recall that there were different sort of labels as to what they were because some of them were
Well, it's not even
in
money, it's
foreclosure.
accountability.
Yeah.
It's accountability.
Some of them were not in foreclosure.
Because you don't,
A lot of them are hard to get
So
a hold
they
of.
may- they may
Right.
say,
Yes.
You're not guaranteed you're gonna get that money.
yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
also have to figure
The
out.
only ones that guarantee you get the money is gonna re-levy it,
Situation,
right?
Yeah.
the squatter
Yeah.
situation for abandoned buildings, and we
So
can
there's
vote
two
on
things.
Can assess it.
For something that's fairly
I think, we need to take action to establish a fee for registration.
Okay.
And then I think we need to estimate that if we're really enforcing it with a code enforcement assistant, that we're gonna get a good part of that revenue next year.
By the way, that's what, who was the guy from Stewart's?
Chuck,
That's what Chuck said walking out the door. He said, establish a vacant building, whatever, and use the money to fund your second code enforcement. That was, I mean,
so you're talking setting the fee for
The fee.
vacant buildings, right? Yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah, and we need to make some of this stuff
And there's gotta be a
priority because it's
procedure.
gonna bring in
Revenue.
revenue.
For sure.
Fully established that in law, so.
My take is I agree with everything in prioritizing this. I think we prioritize getting a person in and see how that response happens, and in the future years it will allow us to further anticipate how much more we'll get from these various lines as a revenue point. And what was the other thing I was gonna say? I feel like we can probably set via resolution whatever the fee is that isn't set, but I'd have to review that with Elena.
I'm pretty sure that's right. I don't have it with me at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that's right in the law that the fees will be set by, which we don't have to change the law. I think it allows us just to set it by resolution.
Yeah, it says that, I read, you, it says the village board can establish the registration fee, the building inspector establishes the escrow.
And then.
I found it, you're right.
Maybe from time to time or something like that.
And Rob, I don't wanna put that money in the budget for an enforcement and without the money to pay for it, because there's no reason why we're not enforcing what we already have in the book, some it's 2 years. I think we have to, I don't wanna get into, all of a sudden nothing's happening, and we're paying for positions. So if we're saying to taxpayers, we're fund a position that does this, we should be able to get, from what we have, we should be able to get the money in.
Oh, that definitely should offset and then
Minimum
some.
money.
Yes. Our minimum goal would be to offset, and the ultimate goal would be to
Make-
exceed
yes, correct,
and make it revenue, not costing us money.
correct.
And clean up some of the mess.
Right, all in the same time,
Yeah.
exactly,
And that would satisfy some outside concerns about us not enforcing them.
yes.
Okay, I think we're working to the same goal in different avenues, but I understand what you're saying. I understand
Well,
that.
bottom line, I think the position pays for itself if we're putting it in the budget.
Yep, I agree.
I think it will too. So what do you guys want to do in terms of the revenue lines to reflect?
Do you think we should, I mean, it's a gamble to put it, I mean, we're gonna see results, but we don't know any idea what it's
Well,
$10
the
offset.
registration fees. We have to-
But how long is it gonna take us to get that into, we gotta
Probably
hire,
assume 4 or 5 months after somebody's hired that we're
so
able
say
to-
6 months into our budget cycle,
Yeah,
we should be able to generate some revenue, is what you're
Yeah.
saying,
that's
so.
what I was saying.
Sounds good.
After you hire someone.
So what do we wanna put in there for a number?
And what line would we put that under? Would that be a new line?
Wouldn't it be
It'd be
building
registration
violations, fee or is
No,
that under?
there'd be registration fees.
We can make however many lines that you want.
Okay.
I mean, no, I
To
don't-
better split things
Where
out.
Where is
to
that
see-
typical? I'm not seeing it.
It's not there.
Oh, okay, I wanna make sure, okay.
So we could make an additional code enforcement
You could do it 25,
Registration.
96.
miscellaneous.
Vacant registration fees.
2596.
Yeah.
All right.
Vacant building registration
All right.
fees, right?
2596. And what do you want to call this, Denise?
It's vacant registration fees, right?
Vacant building registration fees.
Are there going to be other ones from the other laws we've done as well?
There are the building violation fees should be going up. We also have the junk car fees, which we
Yeah,
should
could
be
it
charging.
like encompass all of those?
That's what I wanted. I wanted to encompass all of these.
Okay.
Well,
So-
we said other violation fees that
Slash others.
All right. Let me.
yeah.
So how about miscellaneous
Code
code
violations.
violations registration fees?
Yep, that's,
Does that work?
yep.
Okay. What do you guys want to anticipate as this for a 6-month revenue
Well, it
stream?
It's hard to judge the violation fees in the buildings. I don't know. why
Well,
it's
it would
so
be
low.
separate from building permit fees. It'd be separate from.
Building violation fees should be higher.
Right, he's saying why is it only $200?
No, I understand, yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember why.
I think
I know that the-
I think it was a court process.
I talked to Mark and they had a hard time, I guess, coinciding dates for court.
Court.
They've
That's a
they've struggled
huge
for
issue.
months.
Yes.
And now they have, I believe,
It's Wednesday mornings.
Right.
Wednesday mornings,
So-
now it's officially scheduled every Wednesday morning.
Okay, so-
Just to speak to this, this is the 1920 year, which is when COVID shut down in March. This is the first year of COVID. This is the second year of COVID. And this is our current year, which is what we've gotten so far, which it reflects about 5 or 6 months, I think,
we haven't gotten
of
any.
not having
we
a
haven't-
court meeting.
We haven't received any.
Well, wait a second, but some of it
There isn't
maybe,
any money.
and some of it maybe, it says court fees, maybe some of it went in there because,
No,
no?
I checked.
That's all
Mark.
police stuff?
Yeah.
So, oh, okay.
There's no building violation fees we've done the first 8 months.
No, there's
Oh,
no-
I'm sorry.
zero
I
revenue.
see it here. This
Zero.
is I couldn't see the
So wait,
tabs.
what about this, the court fines and fees, is that, do you think that?
That's totally different,
That's
no.
Oh, it's different.
Totally
Yeah,
different.
that's what I just said.
Court and building are not, they have their
But it
separate
didn't,
courts.
you said it didn't.
So,
Court,
yes,
court finding,
so what I would suggest is between those 2 lines, we total whatever the salary is that's costing us for the enforcement officer.
Between which 2 lines? This
The
one
violation fees line.
Right, and
16,000,
and this one here as well?
16,600.
Yeah, but maybe we gotta consult with Mark on how that would.
Well, we want to say half of it because we're only going to be seeing. We're
Right.
expecting to see half the year.
Where does that
Well, they don't
$13,000
pay us
go
up
now?
front,
What's
right?
that?
So we're not on an accrued basis here, so we say $1,000 and we have 50 buildings that have to pay us $1,000. That $1,000 goes into this fiscal year budget total, right?
That's if we set $1,000
Yeah, which I would.
registration
Yeah.
fee.
Yep.
That seems high.
We want to force those folks to do
Sell it.
something with their building.
That's the point.
or sell it.
Yeah.
We don't want them to keep it going.
Or be like a drug habit.
That's what they get for, that's
Sorry.
that's a penalty for having a
I
vehicle.
don't know what other municipalities do with this, so I don't know if that's a high number.
We,
I
we
think
end up,
other
at all.
municipalities do this.
we end up in a situation like we have with whatever Church Street where we put the roof
Right.
on, where the owners give it to his daughter, she's in Italy, and
Right.
quite frankly does not care what our village looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
It's $1,000 a year.
So that's actually a pretty
to
standard number out
Yes.
and about in other
For the
municipalities.
longevity, as long as it's vacant
And you're
Yeah,
talking
I-
about
Yeah, or the lady that,
residential
what's her name,
places too?
who owns the big brown building.
I think
Yeah,
that would be saying
you
only
can
Sound-
sell it.
Where the town, yes,
not
where
commercial.
the town board used to meet.
Is it residential
Oh,
and
Sal
commercial?
Mahoney.
Yes,
Are you doing residences as well?
Vacant buildings.
vacant
Yeah.
buildings.
Just whatever it is?
Yep,
Whatever it is.
house, building, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sell it.
I mean, we're not doing this to make money, we're doing this to give them an incentive.
And-
To
and-
sell, it's the only tool we have, really.
Yeah.
Is to penalize them,
Right,
right?
that's
Because
the only
otherwise,
thing we can do. to
there's
get
no
them to
motivation
sell.
otherwise.
I don't know how the law was written, but the other piece that's gonna be important to that is allowing the village to re-levy that fee.
We have to ask the county, will they relive? Wait, relive?
Well, that's if it goes into,
So
it's
if we
going-
charge
There won't
them,
be anybody hardly that'll pay it.
most people will not pay it and it will end up having to likely be re-levied.
It'll go on
So
re-levy.
who do we have to speak to have that done?
Ah, good question.
That is a good question.
Well, it would probably have to be addressed in the law, right?
I mean, the
I don't
board-
think the local law is gonna matter. It's gonna be, cause it's
No,
the
because the
county.
county's the one that dictates whether to levy or not. We don't have that authority.
Sounds like
well,
someone might
we,
wanna
the
talk.
board usually and used to make a motion to re-levy. As
Oh, yeah,
long-
we do
As
that. We
long
do this
as
here.
the board makes the motion, I believe that, because it's associated with the property.
Okay,
I would ask Elena that,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
but I think as long as the board does either a motion or a resolution, it would cover,
100%.
you know.
But would we want a different amount for commercial versus residential?
why?
Well, commercial might be worth, should be more.
Right.
May also,
Doesn't make- yeah, you can
I don't
make
know
that-
if
you
size
can
of
make-
building would matter
you can make
either,
money
lot size.
with that building.
Right,
right.
Yeah, so maybe
People
like
who wanna
lower
buy
for
buildings
residential higher.
and
for-
just sit on them, from even buying them in the first place.
Right,
Right, so that another, like a family can't come and move to our community, they just sit it there and let
I
it
don't
run.
know, we can do a difference there, I just want a good fine that they feel.
You said up to
That makes them
5,000?
uncomfortable.
so what do you think so a good number
Was it
is
up
to
to
throw in
5,000?
there
Was it
then?
That was the estimate.
700 for residential,
That was
1,000 for commercial?
No, but I'm just saying
Okay.
for the budget, as far as,
I think we have to talk to Mark how he wants to handle violation fee. I mean, this is his office, so we gotta say the position needs to be paid for by fees. How would you put those numbers in?
Right,
If you look at the empty buildings, how many of them are behind on taxes, how many of them paying their taxes? The ones that are paying their taxes, you can probably pretty well figure they'll pay the fee.
Well, we always get paid for the taxes in the end,
Yeah.
from the
In
county
the
or
end,
the
but
people.
no, I'm talking about in the budget year.
Yeah, no.
That always is late.
I know what you're saying, Doug. You're saying, Doug, that even though the building's vacant, the owner is still keeping his taxes current.
Yeah. So that's a more of a plum.
Is that a minority or a majority? I would say it's probably,
You know, I'd have to look at the list again.
Some of
to be
them,
honest
some of
with
them, they
you.
let it go till, like, for a couple of years and then
till it goes to
bam.
getting close to going to the
Right.
county.
Right.
It's amazing how many people do not look at their bills. It just is amazing.
I wanna
And
throw out,
for the few people that still don't have meters installed.
yeah.
Well, look at the one that was on Facebook and it said triple, what was your usage?
Mm.
No answer.
Yeah.
Mm.
I had to go down, well, I had to come down and ask you guys to look
look
it
at the
up.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Shows you.
So I wanna throw out one point that I'm hearing that I want to disagree on, just on the nuance. I like in principle what we're talking about, but when we started with code enforcement many years ago, we brought on Andy and we created a specific court date, because what would happen is people would not respond to Mark and it would have to go to court, but then we didn't, as a village, have a process to follow through with that. So we initially brought on Andy and paid him to come up here and represent the village, knowing that we were taking a hit financially but it allowed the code enforcement department to have the next level of, if you don't follow through with me, you will be dragged to court.
So it drives
So-
the hammer into the.
Yes, so it cost us, it wasn't a net, like, it wasn't an even split, we ended up paying more for that,
Right.
but that gave code more authority. I think in this first year, it would be great if the fees and all of the additional revenue from the things that we've set up would cover it, but I think more likely in the first year, it's not going to cover it, but in the second year and further on, it should.
I,
Right.
well, we only budget $500 for, in code enforcement attorney, which I don't understand, because I thought it'd be more than
Like 1 hour.
$500.
Where's that number?
Like half an hour.
That's under,
14, 20 point,
I think we have to be serious
43.
about this, and I think the office
Oh,
needs
that's
to know
weird.
we're serious about it.
Yeah.
I've seen so many cases where somebody hires an assistant and it's the same old.
Where did
And they're
Andy
just
show
doing
up in the
other
last
people's
couple
work and
budgets?
you're not enforcing it.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that, the
Right.
attorney
Right.
code enforcement fee
we decided
should
to
be a
break
lot
it apart
higher.
last
We need
year.
a hammer.
He
Yeah,
probably
we
would
need a
have done
hammer,
village
yeah,
attorney.
and then,
And
$500,
right now-
Oh.
3 hours.
We
and
That's
it's
not,
done.
that's
only
not, that's not
have
cover
one
court
bill, I
costs.
think let's see.
Is this from Elena?
Yeah, we're not gonna get any, we're not gonna get,
Is
see
that
any
the
big
bill you're
changes
talking
around
about?
here unless we put money in,
Um,
make it work.
Oh,
I think so.
right.
I think it might be
agreed.
Andy.
Your tool,
Just
your
have-
enforcement tool is
just
only as
received
good
one
as
bill so
the
far.
hammer you got
Right.
behind
But I
it,
know
you know?
Andy was just
And if we don't
recently
set the
had
fine
one
rates and
month
do all
ago.
that
We
stuff,
don't
and
have yet.
getting them
And
into court
follow-
and leave it up to the
and follow-
judges,
that's
then
the
we're,
big one.
that's
Follow
where all
I'm gonna
through.
leave the
Yeah.
board and just become a judge.
I've always said sometimes
You
you guys
bet.
should.
Oh, you know, Andy, it's not
You
gonna show
bet.
because it was
You
after.
bet. Everybody pays for it.
Oh, that's why. But we should still adjust, we should still adjust that number.
Better get it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Doug, that's a good spot on the code attorney. That was something we had just broken out from previous, just throwing it as a village attorney last time. So when we get to that expense line, we'll adjust that.
Maybe $4,000 or $5,000.
It should be, it absolutely should be. And Denise was just saying, we just got the first bill from the first court appearance, but that showed up after the 8-month
From
actual,
Andy.
so it wouldn't show up
Do you know how much it
in
was?
the
Denise?
8-month.
I wanna say it was around 800. I thought I made a note.
But even then, that 800, that means we're definitely not taking enough cases to court.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we have a code enforcement person,
But I know, again,
Happening all the time.
there definitely was not a glitch, but there was a lull in this where Mark couldn't get it set up with Andy.
Mark, Andy, and the court.
And the court, and the judge.
Yeah.
That's been fixed. I know that. Now they have a
Yep.
scheduled date of when Mark has him coming in. It's a Wednesdays, so that's definitely been rectified.
That's
so.
been rectified.
so.
But to that point, we do need to adjust
So
that.
also junk car fees are in that. which
The
is-
miscellaneous thing we just added?
Yeah.
Yes,
And our
where
fine
is that?
not to exceed $250, plus there's a civil penalty of $25 a day. So there's a lot there.
So what do you guys wanna throw in as a number right now?
Whatever it takes to pay for the code enforcement officer.
I mean, and there again, we did like a third of Mark's salary for the other person. I don't know, you know,
What is the, wait,
Yeah.
what you guys are
what is a
thinking about
building
for his
Yeah.
code
salary.
enforcement officer make?
It's.
Well, we had set it up as a part-time.
So it's probably about.
Yeah, no, I'm just
So-
thinking like in other villages. do
No, we
know?
don't.
We can
No, we
figure
don't
based
have
on that, or-
NICOM could probably give us some specifics. And frankly, there's not a lot of villages that our size that have full-time code enforcement officers. We're very much in the minority on that. Which I remember when we looked at the NICOM a couple years back, I was surprised at how few villages our size had full-time code enforcement.
So we had 16,000 plus in salary, if you add benefits, let's say 20,000.
Okay. Do you guys want to anticipate 20,000 in additional revenue?
So are you talking about doing a full-time position or?
No,
No, just part-time.
Part-time,
That time,
Okay.
right?
So what are we putting, 20?
20,000 in for revenue.
and make it.
Are we cutting that in half because we're going to be starting a few months into the fiscal year?
Well,
Yeah.
there's
The
a-
registration
I would
fees
cut it.
would be for a year. When we collect the money, we get it for this year.
If they pay it, if not, it gets re-levied and we get it the next year.
You guys
Well,
just, if you're doing half-time at 16,000, you're,
Like it will get re-levied, we'll get it, but it will take longer.
I think put it in, but let's
Yeah,
have a
and
conversation with Mark on how that may break out. And
40
we
hours
gotta
a week
look
is
at the
2080,
take it out.
2,080 hours.
You mean the list of who pays and who
So if
doesn't?
you go,
One minute,
How much are we
James. I know what
likely to
you're.
get if people did pay, yeah.
And also,
And
we
who's
can.
not going to pay? I mean,
We
it's
can
how much money
modify
people
the
do.
budget after it's approved. That's actually one thing that historically we have not done much of is modifying budgets that are
Okay.
already
Budget
established.
transfers and
Yeah,
stuff.
we really,
no,
we
there's
really,
very
for
few.
whatever reason, haven't done that, and I don't know if that was a thing that happened before my time. Do you
It
remember?
definitely happened.
It did happen before
Yeah,
your time.
Yeah, not a lot, but yes,
Right.
it definitely
Yeah,
happened.
and it can happen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's easy to do. I
You just
think
move
we've
it
only
contractually from one line item to the
I
other.
think we've done it
by
like
board resolution.
maybe once or twice a year, if that.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's easy to yeah. Okay, Dan had something
yeah,
to
just-
talk about
just to give you-
hours.
Just a point of interest, if you're gonna do half-time, so full-time is 2,080 hours a year, which is 40 hours a week times 52, right? So half is 1,040. If you did 16,000 just on the salary, not talking benefits or total cost of employment, that's only $15.38 an hour. I think you're gonna have to probably go a little bit higher than that. I mean, what,
Mm-hmm.
But you're only talking clerical. Remember, we're talking someone
Yeah, but
who's gonna
that's-
keep Mark.
yeah, but
Do the paperwork, more so than somebody else.
1538 though is I mean,
One
But again, Dan,
one
hang
more
on a second, don't do 2080 either, because they don't work 40 hours. Mark doesn't work 40, it's based on 35 hours.
okay, so.
So you're talking
13
you're
hours?
talking another,
17,
Works 35, I guess,
25,
maybe it's
35,
higher,
okay.
that's what
Talking
they're.
910
He's 35.
hours.
Dan, one more thing to consider. We probably won't be hiring someone on June 1. So
It's partial.
it may be
Gotcha.
like 10 months. So we may be paying just 10 months of,
So
of
to
the salary.
Bobby's point, that it's actually a 35-hour work week, so halftime would be 17.5. It would be 17.58 an hour, which is a little bit more.
yeah, and I'm not
realistic.
saying, I do believe
Sure.
me, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I thought that number was a little unrealistically low.
But I only know from the timesheets that they don't, that
Yeah.
Mark doesn't work 40, it's a 35-hour week.
Yeah, Deb.
7 hours.
If you go up to 1255
Mm-hmm.
and especially 1520, police fees,
Mm-hmm.
it says $200, right? And then, so I'm thinking that maybe the $200 in court fines, fees, is different than the things they take in.
Police fees are strictly when insurance companies request like accident reports.
Yeah, it's
$10
actual
per
reports.
accident.
We charge for the papers. We charge for copies.
It's like
And
10
court fines wouldn't be the
$10
same for short?
No.
for a copy of
3 cents a sheet or
It
something.
feels like it should be, like we just need to break that number.
Well, it shouldn't say police fees, probably needs a better.
Yeah,
insurance.
Police insurance fees.
Well, actually, I wanted to speak to that. With court fines and fees, we jumped quite a bit this year. Is 35,000 enough for what we think is
Well,
the next fiscal
Because,
year?
again, I think I have the numbers here, let's see if I still have them. Yeah, it was-
Because the police adjusted parking ticket violations.
we have new tickets.
It's been prioritized. Traffic enforcement has been prioritized. It's made a difference. I don't know if you guys notice it. I have a lot fewer people zipping up Munsell Street than I used to.
Well,
Sure.
let's.
Not
Yeah,
fully
but that also
everybody.
means we don't have violators and we're not getting money.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Court revenues in 2022, our court revenue was 11,429. In 2023, our court revenue was 53,337. That's what was deposited.
Say
in
that
our-
again.
In 2022, it was 11,429.
Yeah.
In 2023, it was 53,337.
So why do we only have 35 there?
Because this is only, for
Yeah,
that,
more
to date.
criminals in
Is
town.
That was, I did the audit in January.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, so when Bobby's talking money deposited into the account, she has to send her monthly reports in by justice. The state takes their share. We only get a little bit of
Right. Okay.
percentage of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not all our.
That. Thank
No.
you. Thank you.
But this is relative as far as the fines. I mean, $42,000 between 1 year.
So that money in this budget here, when we say we project 32,000, does not, that money doesn't include the money that the state gets. It doesn't come through
That's
our
just
books and
our
it goes
share.
out.
Right. Right.
But I'm fine, I think $40,000.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with the new parking tickets and the fact that we
All
just,
that money comes to us.
yeah.
Can I ask how much, Bobby, do you think the total is with the state? Like, how much is the state?
That's a hard, I have no way of telling
Oh.
you.
Well, I
Yeah, I
can
mean,
give
is it like,
you-
do we
I
go
can
like
give you the money
half?
amount.
Yeah.
It varies. It varies on what ordinance or what law
It
they
all
write the
depends
ticket
on how
on.
much,
Because that gets me thinking, we really should do that thing like all the other municipalities.
Yep.
Right. They get the state gets all the surcharges and we just
pass
get
the
the.
village ordinance,
Coke.
house meeting, and other moving.
And the
violations,
bill-
and just-
Cause it's a monthly bill, Office of the Controller, we pay it every month.
Right.
There's a report attached.
And
So,
and
it
this
varies.
is something that came from Tim, is that the police and the courts now know that money's going out to the state, and in some
Yes.
cases, they're lowering the tickets for what they are, so we keep the money.
When they're changing, they change it from a moving violation
Yes.
to a non-moving
we
violation, which
keep
goes to
100%.
parking on the pavement, then we get 100% of the fine.
right.
If it's a moving violation, we get the 15% surcharge.
Yeah.
That's about it. After that, if
Even if
it's
we're using our own
non-moving, we get
ticket?
100%.
I thought if we were
We
using
use all of our own
ticket-
tickets now.
No.
Yeah, but we still only get 15% of a speeding ticket?
Doesn't matter.
That's
Doesn't
why-
matter,
that's-
it's a moving violation. You
Well,
don't get
Deb's
that.
talking about just if it's a speeding ticket and that's what the court decides.
Yeah, the court decides if the speeding ticket, if the fine ends up being $250, we get like 15%. The state gets everything else.
And to
So there's
Dan's
a
point, if
surcharge
we
and
change the
civil fees.
local law and they do it as an ordinance, then it changes the way that billing
The money's
happens.
Yeah,
dispersed.
Let's do that then.
What Tim had told me was that like in Troy, for example, they write it against both the state VNT
Vehicle
law
traffic
and
law,
against the
And the village ordinance,
and
the
the
local
city
ordinance.
ordinance.
Yep.
All you have to do is write it on your
And
ticket say,
because
like,
if you write it against the
Just write
village
it out.
ordinance, you can't chase anybody down. Like you can't whatever.
You can't T-sled them. Yeah, it doesn't go on
What do they?
T-sled.
What do they call?
Scofflaw.
Yeah, you can't
Can't
scoff their
scofflaw.
license.
You can't scofflaw anymore anyway. That's
Oh,
since,
really?
What's
since
that,
bail
scofflaw?
reform, they don't allow scofflaw.
Tickets.
Oh.
No, that was part of the Governor Hochul's thing.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
we should probably get an ordinance passed just to be basically taking the
Yep.
VNT, the common VNT things and making it
Right,
village
based on what's on our
ordinances.
new ticket. That's where that came from, is based on we can enforce it based on the village ordinance.
That's what I thought. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, why
So
are
we have
we
to
not
make that
getting?
village ordinance.
We would
We have a village ordinance, I believe, already.
For
we have a couple, but again, the ordinances are old, and one of the things that Sergeant Hudson mentioned is that when it pertains to Facebook's favorite nuisance law discussion, all of the ordinance specific to the nuisance law are not tied to what we typically do because they're super old ordinance. There's a disconnect there that we can fix
So
again
we need
through
to
local
update
law.
the ordinance
Yeah.
and make it current.
for
So
vehicle and
If
traffic.
if we update the ordinance, is that just a resolution or is that a?
No, it's a
law?
local-
It's a
it
local
has to
law.
be the local law.
For the point of this right now, it sounds like we're thinking of upping this to 40,000 from 35.
Makes so much sense.
Court fines and fees revenue.
Yeah.
I think that's safe.
Going back to building permits. is-
Denise is a little nervous about that, but I'm
Well-
still okay to do
You
it if
don't
we
think
do
so,
it.
Denise?
Your decision.
How are our building permit fees?
Well, why don't you
So
think so?
how?
Wait, how are our building permit fees?
Oh, hold on a minute, Deb. Save that word. Let's finish this one up for a minute because Denise was a little bit nervous about upping this to 40.
Maybe those need to
I
go.
just think it, it all depends on how many tickets, the officers, the judges. I think 35 is fine. And you're the board, you decide.
But you think that's realistic? 35 is more realistic than 40.
I would think.
I also see the argument for 40 because I think that this new approach and prioritizing did not start immediately in this fiscal year. I think it started kind of to build as a general
And I
crescendo.
think the police department is increasingly aware of the relationship between that and their budget.
And in reports, we've been mentioning that parking tickets is something that we're looking at now, and there's been a lot more over the past few months. It probably wouldn't even have shown up in this number. So I think the argument could be made to 40,000, even though Denise is going to punch me later, and that's okay.
No.
No, if they write.
No, she knows.
If they write 30, say they write 30 parking tickets a month,
I'll just be
that's
laughing.
$1,500 a month. in
I
parking.
told you so.
That's how many they write, that
Goes to
doesn't mean how
50
many
bucks.
the judge.
How much extra?
Yeah, that's 18 grand right there, just in parking tickets.
On our last report packet, no, that's this
They're
one.
not looking at the speeding
Loitering.
ticket. Yeah, later.
But that's only if they don't get thrown out in court.
No,
Anybody
parking
who
tickets
parks
don't get
backwards
thrown
they
in
out.
front of my
They
shop
do.
is getting dumped.
No, parking tickets don't get thrown out.
Sometimes they don't even get to court. Sometimes they just send in
Most
the
people,
fee
that's
and
the
that's
option.
that.
It's
Yeah.
a-
So I'm just going to the March report because I know that we've been keeping track monthly of this. I didn't find the April one. They issued. Oh nope, that's wrong. Sorry, I'm gonna have to find the April one. Give me 1 second.
My grandmother wanted to license it.
Denise, what's a Bellazzar
A bunch
license?
of people parked right in
We
front
have
of
one
it.
right now.
I know, but,
Here.
I mean, I know what a Bellazzar is, I know about
Like,
Silver
wait,
Lake.
on the
and
corner,
other
they
stores.
gave me
No, they're
the
full
first one I
tickets
got.
in the clubs.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's considered like bingo.
Yeah, but
There it is.
doesn't the Eagles have that?
Hey,
The Eagles is the only one
we
that
don't handle
usually
like that right
Parking
here. We
tickets.
have to mail
should be
it out.
50 bucks.
Parking tickets. You ready?
Listen.
January 0, February 7, March 34.
Right there.
So we do know that parking tickets have jumped. Traffic tickets.
Because we didn't get the new tickets in until,
Right.
until February.
Traffic tickets 30 in January, 41 in February, 52 in March.
So our budget's gonna be
You wanna
reliant
know
on the
when
community
most of those in March
staying
happened?
in violation of
Yeah,
the
it did.
put out a Facebook. Please continue speeding. We need the money. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So
Yeah, but then
I'm.
John Conti will come in and say,
Are you guys okay to
Oh,
40,000
jeez.
change?
Mayor's pocketing
Okay.
some of it.
Rob, can we go back up to building permits?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So that was 2610,
Yeah.
40,000.
and Denise?
I had to throw my.
Okay, Doug wants to talk building permits again, guys.
what do we charge for this? Is it,
Okay,
The fact
building
that you
permits,
guys even-
Yes.
as I understand it, includes apartment inspection.
Yes,
And maybe that ought to be 2 lines, A.
we will
And
do
B,
that.
I'm wondering,
Okay.
what I've heard is we're charging the same amount for apartment inspections for a very long time. And
Hey,
we're gonna
guys.
raise that fee. And I'm wondering if that fee needs to be raised, given the time and effort it takes to do apartment inspections.
So we're talking about is this
Yep.
pre-tenant versus apartment inspections? No, those are the same.
It's the
Apartment
biannual inspection,
Okay.
What's the charge now?
$25.
And that
That's
was
nothing.
was that set by local law or was that a
I'm not positive, I asked Mark on Monday about it.
okay?
we haven't done a local law for that since I've been here, so.
No,
It's a
No,
local
we
law.
haven't. In fact, I think that whole setting up those inspections was what led the village to get a full-time code enforcement officer.
and setting up the
Right
code
before I got
inspection
here.
is what, and also, that's where we had Marie in there helping Mark.
Yes.
Because that's how we got the code inspect,
Yeah.
annuals, semi-annuals up
Because
going
it,
again.
it took some paperwork off of his plate so he could
Right.
go out and do more.
How many are
Okay.
we doing a year, do you know, approximately?
I don't know how many rental properties. It's
Um,
biannual too, so it's, they alternate.
1 second.
If anything, I think there's more rental properties.
And he's doing, he has to do biannuals, but also
Um,
doesn't he have to inspect apartments every time?
January,
they're renting?
February, and March for
Yes, I believe
biannual
Yes.
inspections.
And that's the same 25?
For biannual inspections, he did 13, 4, and 8. So that's 25 in the first quarter. For pre-tenant inspections, he did 5, 4, and 3. That's 12 in the first quarter.
And he's only charging $25?
Well,
I thought it was
did you
30.
talk to him?
No.
I did.
It's $25 and then there's another 10. Generally, when it comes in, it's $35, and I don't know what.
I don't know what
the-
that, okay, I don't know what the 10 is.
I
I'm
don't know either, but
wondering.
35 sounds right.
Is it the
'Cause that's-
register?
I think that's what Aaron told me he has to do.
Okay.
He's got
It's
one
been
coming
that
up.
way. It's been.
Well,
I would like to raise it to 50.
I
at
agree.
least.
We'll have
I
to
mean,
speak
that's a
with
lot of-
Elena about the process for doing that.
Yep.
Who wants to follow up with Elena on that?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
When is she back?
Another good party. Early next week. This weekend she'll be back. So
So
yeah.
if we could create 2 lines there, 1 building permits and 1 apartment inspections, so we can keep track of, and then you could probably budget it, cause he'll be able to tell you those numbers, cause that's right now built into building permits.
So right now, building permit income line includes the pre-tenant and biennial inspections.
Yep.
So
It could either be 2
should
lines or
we
we just acknowledge as.
add a number now and in the future budget break it apart? How do you want it?
It's up to you. It's very easy to do. All I have to do is get together with Mark tomorrow and break them apart. And
Okay.
plug those numbers in. How
Okay.
it breaks down.
How do you guys want to do it? You want to see it that
I
way?
think it should be broken out, yeah,
Okay.
so we can track it.
I agree, cause that way you know what's for apartments and
Call
what's
it
for new
2593.
work.
New business. yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
We're gonna call this 2593. And what are we gonna call this line? Inspections?
Yes.
Yeah,
Semi-annual
Rental-
inspections,
rental
right,
inspections.
rental inspections.
I like
Or is
that.
that just semi-annual? It is apartment inspections. It's the semi-annual as well as the
rental
new.
properties.
Yep.
Something like that?
Yep, that's
That's
perfect.
fine.
Yep.
Okay. So just for the point of the budget approval, it sounds like, and I am fine to have more meetings and continue going through this because I think it's very, very good and very helpful. So it does not sound like we are going to be approving a budget tonight, which is fine. We just need to make sure that we schedule in another meeting evening sometime next week or
Before May
before May
Wednesday.
1st, yeah.
So we have to do it by May 1st, or does it have to be, can it be May 1st?
I don't think it can be May 1st. I think it
play
has to
safe
be.
on that.
Before.
So it's gotta be Tuesday. the
I
latest.
think it's either Monday or Tuesday.
Okay,
Let's just do that.
Yeah, play safe.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just safe.
So that's fine. We can keep going, certainly for now, and we can wait for Denise to give us a broken up update for this building permit versus the inspections.
You can get that from Mark tomorrow, Denise, and email it to us.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to chat about?
I have another new line.
Go for it.
This came from Denise. We don't have sale of equipment. We have sale of property, which is real estate. Sale of equipment, which is, Denise, what, 2665, you said?
Yes. That was my email.
We sell the excavator. We
For
sell
the
police
surplus
Yeah,
inventory,
which means a lot if we're putting that money toward buying new equipment.
Sale of equipment.
Yeah, the excavator.
2665 sale of equipment.
Okay. Good spot. Good.
So we talked about the excavator's gonna be in there? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we buy a new police car possibly, is there anything else that,
That we'd be selling equipment wise.
yeah?
The dump truck?
The parts of the old jail.
If we get a new
Oh,
dump
we get a
truck.
new dump truck, we
But
can sell a
the
dump truck.
police vehicle
Yeah, we all
wasn't
dump
just
trucks.
Some
Some
farm.
farm.
Yeah, it's good money. No, we're not
It
stopping
was
it.
just
We're gonna sell the
adding,
engine out
wasn't
there.
it?
We get money
Say that
for
again?
Okay.
For the police
Oh,
vehicle, wasn't that to just
No, it's
add
not.
another patrol car, not get rid of
To have a
existing
fifth.
ones?
No, they wanted
Yeah.
to get rid of that one.
They do want to get rid of one.
What's that?
No.
If they get a
Bad
new
deal
police
for the
vehicle, are they looking to have 5 total or to
I thought
update?
they wanted 5 because they
The
had.
way John explained to me, they did too.
I think you
Because
want
they want additional,
Well, yeah, they want 10, but
he wants an additional vehicle, so, because they're short of vehicles when it comes down to parades and everything like that. To me, that's overkill.
That's
Well,
overkill, and the one vehicle
Let's
they
get 'em-
have is
let's
so
get 'em a
bad,
bike.
it's not reliable, so why are we even
get them a
maintaining
bike.
it?
That makes
I-
sense.
So-
Get them a bike.
I don't know what you
Yeah,
call
with the
this
same
budget
police
line,
Yeah.
but I talked
An
to you a little bit
e-bike.
about it and
Mhm.
thank you for the assets, but the depreciating assets, we do need to look at and say, hey, we need to put it in, we talked about this last time, we need to put it into the budget. We know in the next 5 years, we need a new police vehicle, in the next 5 years, we need a new dump truck. Like, it's not, instead of being like, oh my god, it's $180,000 for a dump truck, let's bond it. Put it into our budget so we can replace these
And
things.
have-
Unfortunately,
No,
we
I've
don't
been
have
here,
that luxury.
but listen,
Well,
when I
you don't
first
have that
started,
luxury
it
of
was,
just hitting
when I
all the
first
time.
started, it was, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that. Well, guess what? We are going to have to pay for it somewhere. So if we do it in a small increment and we think about it, just like the damn deunification unit I've been talking about,
Yep.
we have to budget
I
for these
think-
things.
I think that we will be in position to do that next
Yeah, we're not in a
budget
position right now.
because it's
That's
still
it. I
my
heard that.
hope that we
Well,
have
and then when the
PFOA
settlement
stuff
comes in,
resolved
when
and
it's-
we
I first-
can plan
I
much
like
better.
the idea of financing the truck, and then you have a fixed expense every year.
That's not a bad idea.
I tell you, when I was on the town board, that's what we did. We had a 5-year program. Every 5 years, we bought a new
How
truck,
that-
new dump truck.
Wait, Kenny told us about this.
It's
We
a-
talked about it last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we
then
can
you
do it.
sell,
Yeah.
then you could sell,
But
like,
you're talking,
the
you're
equipment.
talking,
You
yeah.
make your money back.
We're not gonna get any money for any of our
No.
trucks that we have now. You know,
Yeah.
your idea of selling the engine
Yeah.
is
Well,
like.
we can't scrap everything.
Probably
I
get
hate
more.
to tell you, you're gonna
You
get
think
more.
so?
You get 3 something a pound for scrap. You're talking a $10,000 or 10,000 pound truck. You might. You
Okay.
might.
Okay.
Seriously, you're
I
not
mean, the
gonna.
body's rusted, but it doesn't have that many miles.
No,
We
understood.
use it.
But it's been through.
Farmers buying them.
You
That's-
guys, we don't make these things
Yeah.
anymore.
No,
Yeah.
but definitely we have to have
I mean, look at
a
how much
preventative
a
maintenance
pickup truck
program.
costs. Like, it's out of control now. I mean,
Might
I'm sure
turn
you
it
can
into a
find someone
camper.
to pay for that engine. I'm not
But-
stupid.
But the thing is with the,
Call it the damper,
you know,
the Dan camper.
But,
Yeah.
but let's get real. They are things that are going to break down. They are things that have to be replaced. Nobody wants to buy a new dump truck. No one wants to put money into
Yep.
all the things that are depreciating.
And I would add that if you looked at our insurance schedule, how much money we're
Last
paying
20
for
years,
insurance on those trucks and how much they value it.
Right.
It's outrageous.
Insurance change,
To say those
insurance
trucks
go
don't
up
have
or down
value,
with
but
a
we're
new
paying
vehicle.
$80,000
And
as if
things
it's
have just
valued
gone
for
up.
insurance, there's a problem.
I think we're gonna be
Well,
charged more insurance with a new vehicle.
Absolutely
or
are.
less.
No, I'm talking about the old ones have a lot of value on our insurance schedule.
And we
When in fact
should.
they're
We're
worth.
In other words, the
saying
insurance
not
says
worth
it's
Oh,
it.
the insurance says it's worth X, but we know. Oh,
Yeah,
I get it.
and-
Okay,
They're
sorry.
insured for
Thank you.
$100,000,
Wait,
and
before you
Yeah,
we're
turn
gonna get
it
15,000 in scrap value.
Yeah.
Deb has a question.
Yeah.
Can we go back to building permits for a second? Do
Sure.
we know what we charge for those and can we, is it
it's
something?
$35. It depends on the value and it depends on the size of the project.
Well, so $35 is, I know I paid $35 to put in my wood stove, my pellet stove.
Yeah,
There
it's
it
just
is.
a,
So if somebody's building a whole garage, they only pay $35?
No, it's different.
No, it's based on, it's all prorated based on what you're doing.
Okay.
It's a
Oh,
code,
okay.
there's a code book that
Okay,
tells
so
you.
that, so the code book is us, or the code is, those are state
No, I
fees?
think we adopted.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
'Cause
state
have,
code.
and have we looked at them to see if they're on par with what they should be, or maybe, I mean, we found other things that
I
we
will
could
say
raise.
that's the one thing I do not want to touch because I want to
I
encourage
better
people
not.
building. I want to encourage people making
I think
improvements.
that we should leave
Right.
that alone too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark has a schedule and he goes by it and he's fair and you know, it all
Yeah.
depends on the size and
Yeah,
it's-
okay.
if this is 10
Yeah, no, I
by,
was just trying to,
Oh, no.
look at
No,
the
that's,
pennies here.
that
and
makes
there.
sense, that makes
I think
sense.
my addition was 150
People wanna
bucks.
increase the value
Because
of
it was a lot
the
square
town.
footage.
Okay.
right.
Yes.
So you.
Very happy that
you
people are
build a
building.
huge
Well,
garage, you don't pay $35.
We also want people getting building permits.
Well, that's my
Yes.
next thing.
Yeah.
You want people to
Yes.
apply. A lot of people build,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
ask
No,
for
I get it,
forgiveness
I get it.
later.
Yeah.
I
You
get it,
know
I'm
that.
just trying to, you know,
Yeah, no,
No,
that,
no,
I,
Understood.
Understood.
Not a bad idea, I'm not
did we
saying
want
that at all.
to put something
Rob,
in for sale of
property,
equipment
Why don't we
or sale of
just
property?
leave that right now and maybe Megan and I can talk to,
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
get
good.
an idea.
Sure.
be able to plug it in.
Sure.
I was
Did we ever
looking.
get somebody who got an appraisal on that? Weren't we gonna get an appraisal on that?
We were gonna do a hundred
I
thousand.
talked to Kenny about it the other day, he hasn't gotten anybody yet. When Elena gets back, I think he's gonna call her, she's got somebody that she knows can
Yes.
like
Right,
take
right, that's,
pictures
she
and,
left
like,
that, right.
Yeah.
knows how to list it.
Yep.
We think we get, I think Kenny said we get, but he
Minimum
thinks,
80,
but
I think.
he thinks they might be able to do it 100.
Right, cause he was worried about, we got worried about somebody just trying to lowball us.
It's a good
We
thing.
need to know the value.
It is a good thing. It
Did
is a
you
good
bring
thing.
them next time?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I don't think we'll make it that.
$10,000 car and then 6.
All right. So we'll revisit sale of equipment and property later. Is there anything else in page one income?
Mortgage tax is the one area that I think we probably over.
What number is that?
3,005. We're estimating 25,000.
Ah, here we go.
We're projecting to receive 25,000. Everything I'm hearing is the real estate market in Hoosick Falls is not selling this coming year.
what?
Oh, I don't think that's the case
I-
at all.
I heard that from real estate agents.
Is it they're not selling or there's nothing to sell?
You're just not getting the sales.
Our clerk reports are noting higher property changes. The
Well,
last
if you
month
look at
was
Realtor.com,
10.
a house goes up on one day and it's.
Yeah, but the
Yeah, there's no
property, the
inventory.
volume of the property isn't there.
The what?
The properties. you know.
Oh, so we don't have enough
We
to
don't have
sell.
revenue, or,
That's why we want.
There's no inventory.
inventory,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it has been a buzz year, and the interest rates are still high, and.
It's hard to get a place.
The mortgage tax
You can keep
range.
it, but it's just, I'm a little nervous that we're gonna do as well
So the
this
inventory's
coming
not
year
there.
as we did last.
So you could see that being lower.
Well, Denise, do you see
Okay.
that revenue?
But remember,
You
that's
see
not
it.
just, that's not sales.
It's a crapshoot,
more
Rob.
No, I
the value
understand.
of it. It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think we could certainly be there, but then again, we might not, because there
Because you
isn't a
could-
lot of inventory.
I mean, you could hit 25 in
I mean, we could hit.
April to
Yeah.
September, and then
Not get, and we'll
not
stagnate,
get
we'll stagnate,
anything.
yeah.
going.
Do you want it lower to 22 or just note that it may?
Maybe just note it.
Okay.
Just keep an eye on that.
All right.
It's marginal anyway, but I just wanted to.
Mortgage tax comes every 6 months, so that's only for 2 months of the year so far.
Okay.
And then,
Oh, okay.
and then
Yeah.
the big one is, and I understand this is money in and money out, is CHIPS money,
Yeah.
which we did very well. I understand the budget did get approved and there was gonna be more money in it. We don't know what we're getting.
Oh,
But that's expensed out on the other side. And
Yes, it
the
is.
question I asked Denise, and she didn't know, it's a question for Kenny, is if we don't get as much as he feels he needs, how much do we have to spend in some other line?
well, why don't you? Do you want to talk about chips before I talk about
We only
this?
spend what we get.
I don't really have anything,
With chips?
He has other things he
because
needs.
it's
That's what Kenny
really
told
a
me.
viewpoint.
We only
Well,
spend
I know
what
what
we get.
Doug is talking about.
We don't deficit spend
Right,
the chips.
Denise has mentioned, we only spend, we only spend what we receive in chips.
Right.
Yeah,
Kenny
we
doesn't
spend it under chips, but if there's other things that we, so let's say we got the budget that we just got, it put in there, which is a major cut. What is he not going to do that he planned on doing? And would he have to do some of those things anyway?
Oh, I see.
That's the
So
question.
if he's expecting 200,000, he can do X sidewalks and roads, and it's 150. Does that mean he's gonna have to spend 50 to cover
That's
that
right,
up?
that's right. Is
Typically,
there a deficit there?
back when Neil did it, Neil would just anticipate what would be done, and he'd have his list. And if the CHIPS numbers came down, then X sidewalk would
Right,
be done.
that's the way Neil
That's
always
been,
did.
but not saying that's right or wrong, but historically
Well, I
that's the way
just
it's
wanna
been.
make sure Kenny understands that.
He does, Kenny does, and cause he knows that, I mean, we can't, if you pave a road, you can't pave it again with CHIPS money for 10 years.
Yes.
That's the cycle time in the state of New York is 10 years.
Yeah.
So if you pave Mechanic Street on Clay Hill, you can't pave it again. You can't go down and strip it, and then you can cold patch it, but you can't use CHIPS money to pave it again for 10 years.
You can't use CHIPS money, but it doesn't mean you don't do it.
No, he doesn't do it. We don't do it. We never
I
have.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, Kenny, he told me, I had this conversation, we definitely should ask him, but that's what he told me.
Okay.
He only spends what he gets,
Yeah.
and Denise can probably attest to
Okay,
that,
so
right?
then what we should have as a
Mhm.
board,
That's all we
let's,
can.
let's look at that. Don't we have a board, when we finalize the chip numbers, we should get from him what he plans on doing with them.
He does, usually,
Oh,
Is this number
they give us, well,
as
when
expected?
Kenny's in
Is
his
there a
only
link
first
in the,
cycle
in the
of
night
the
time
chips.
thing? I didn't
But
see
Neil
it.
used to give a
No, this
list
number that
of,
we punched
these are
in.
the streets,
Is this what you?
what we're gonna
No,
do,
hopefully we'll
and
get
what
a lot
sidewalks.
more.
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
Let me
he
look
always
at
made
that.
sure he gave that to
I
us.
think that's what
Right,
paid for all the
is there a link
sidewalks
for
on Main
chips?
Street, right?
Yes, the CHIPS money was,
Yeah,
yes.
on the left side, yeah.
Yep. But that's, we can
Yeah.
definitely ask Kenny to get
Well,
that.
this is another, just a nuance of that, because there's a lot of sidewalk and stuff in New
I'm not seeing
forward.
chips
So
anywhere.
that planning is gonna occur over the
Was
next
it near the
3 or
top?
4 months.
It may have been near the
Should
top.
be.
And there may be an opportunity to use CHIPS money for something different than what,
Right.
Sure, for
With
roads
their
more so than
transportation
sidewalks, if we
Yeah.
get it from the
So
other
there's
no
forward
link
grant,
there.
right?
There it is.
That'd be great.
So
There's
maybe
no
we just
like
need to have-
hyperlink though?
No.
talk to him and have a
Yeah,
conversation
So-
with him.
This email, I don't know if you guys get this and you're on the
Yeah.
NICOM list,
Yep.
but this was an item that came in about the budget and kind of summarized it. The adopted budget restores cuts made to CHIPS program, which is good, and touring routes program. As a result, the budget includes blah, 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 CHIPS.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a big difference from what we see, but this one thing here, this AIM funding drives me nuts because it's been the same for
60 million.
20 years now, or
Yeah.
something like that, which is ridiculous. But we got a little bit of temporary municipal assistance, and there's a link, and you can go and see. So we have an additional $2,139 from the state coming in.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that
It was
exciting?
Is that what we're getting?
That is what we're getting.
Out of
All
16
right.
million.
Woo!
Better than 730.
That can,
That's
that
true.
can put Village of Hoosick Falls on our next truck.
Where do you want to throw that number?
To the 3001.
Oh, wait, can you scroll up a little bit?
10
I wanna see
square
that one
feet.
down.
Give me 1 second, and then I will do
What's
that.
that,
Where are we throwing it in chips?
3001.
Sorry.
No,
3001.
AIM, 3 down. Yep.
That's sad.
Yep.
This one?
Oh, we already gave you 4.5
Okay.
million.
Funding.
So much.
You only need
So this one here?
2,000 more.
Crazy, isn't it?
What was the number? +2.
I wrote it down.
I did too. I
You're
just
Oh,
so
forgot.
excited that you can't remember the number.
2139.
2139.
Like, just-
Boom!
Such a
Did
big
it.
number.
2139 is
Wow,
now
what an
officially in there.
increase.
Woo!
Thanks,
Alright.
Rob. Really
Go
appreciate
team.
that. What a downer.
I'm super excited. All right. You wanted to see Rockland County?
No.
Just for a
Yeah,
quick
sure.
second.
Why not?
Wait, there it is, Spring Valley.
Saratoga, 191.
Saratoga. They rent enough tickets. They got enough revenue.
Even Mechanicville getting 70,
Yeah, so-
almost 77.
If they need it.
Yeah, they're only, City of Mechanicville's only about twice the number of
New
people.
Pomona only
Yeah.
got $530. Spring
I don't
Valley
know.
would have might my
Mechanicville's
old.
not a big city, it's
What
like
is
easy.
it?
Okay,
Yeah.
like
Who do
Reds
they- who
Hills,
do they
maybe
know?
6,000.
Who do they know?
So anyway, check your list for
Town of
that.
Clifton Park, which has
I'm
4
moving to
people.
Saratoga, they got a
Mechanicsville
lot.
only at 6,000, I don't understand.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's
All right. Any other income lines?
I don't have any.
Do you guys have any other income lines?
Silver track. Silver racetrack.
Why is it doing that?
Say
There we
bring
go.
your revenue to Rob.
The revenue
2102.
2102967.50, and it's going down at the bottom. That puts us in a deficit of 21.2. Do you remember what it was originally?
We don't need that.
It was more than that.
Shoot, wouldn't copy it.
So right now, without changing expense lines, guys, it brings us our revenue up, and we're still 21.2 in the negative if
We have to
everything
say
is
all the-
spent, but we haven't changed anything else yet. So there's more coming. But I just want to give you that brief update. Okay, so we can keep going. At some point, we'll have to decide when our brains are mush and done. It's 8 o'clock. I'm fine to keep going, but I also want to open it up to. If your brains
How
are
much-
toast, that's fine.
How much stuff do we have in executive session? 'Cause we gotta figure out
Your
into our
brains are
time.
toast. It's up.
into
It's
our
basically
time.
5 to 10 minutes of just updates.
I have some quick expense items I can throw.
Go for it.
I don't
Well,
think-
here let's just continue through. The general
just
fund is,
fiddle
is the
general
biggest.
fund?
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
general fund, just general fund.
only
Well,
8
just
o'clock.
general
Stop
fund,
it.
Rob.
4 more hours, come on.
Form.
Turn into
That work for you, Rob?
General fund.
We'll just finish the general fund
Sure,
tonight?
sure, that's fine.
Okay,
That's
so
fine.
you need to go to attorney code enforcement to be
All right.
placeholder.
Before we go there, I did not budget any increases for trustees, and just to visit salaries, I kind of was playing with the look of that. I don't know if that made it any better or worse, but
Oh, it's bolded.
I'm
Yeah.
colorblind.
We are bold, aren't we?
No, that
oh,
helps
I'm
a lot.
I
sorry.
don't know what's a.
I can
Mayor, deputy mayor, and trustee. I think historically, I feel like I hid some. Oh yeah, they're over here. But you can see not much has changed. This current year that I'm pointing to, I'm sorry about the scrolling, was 2021. The mayor didn't change, but the trustees changed 2% the following year. There was no raise the following year. This past year, we went up 2% across the board. I think, let me check. And this year was proposed another 2% of the board. So that's just where we have, is that right? We proposed 2%?
Can you put a 1 in front of that too?
Why did we do it?
Is that, so it's basically 2%?
I don't think we did. I thought we kept it the
No, you
same.
didn't. You kept it the same.
No, okay.
Facebook, it should
So
be
this
a
is
one.
this
24
is
25, yeah.
Oh, we did.
Same.
we did not. I'm sorry. I had thrown in what it would be if we had increased it, but
Oh.
in the budget there
I
was
didn't
no
see an
increase.
at all.
So right now, this number it would actually be the same as these numbers previously.
So,
If we wanted to go up 2%, we could, but I just threw in a number to see what it would have been if we had gone
And
up
why aren't we
2%.
increasing the justices?
Why are
Why
we?
aren't we? No.
Because they don't deserve it. No, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
So, okay.
Hey,
They don't-
after this
they don't
last
bring
Bring in, like,
uh,
new.
They
after
don't
this-
bring enough revenue.
after
have
this
to
last
bring in-
audit,
Okay, well,
You have to
I
earn
wanna
it.
see a couple years straight before I say
We're
yes.
fine.
they deserve a raise.
amen.
Can we give them a percentage?
here's the-
Okay, no, I got you.
You know
I
why?
wasn't thinking like,
Well, just
current
for-
acting,
for
I was
Meg,
thinking
if
like
they-
future.
Yeah, they took in 11,000 in one year and they took in 53
So-
the next.
Right.
so
And
just
we're
to go
paying
back
out
to
32,000
salaries,
for their salary.
mayor, deputy mayor, and trustee in the
Yeah.
budget, I did not increase 2%. If we did increase it to the 2%, which is what we applied to all of our salary folks, this is what it would be. But right now, it's not budgeted as an increase. It's just same.
So, I mean, I'm of the opinion, are we basically doing 2% for all non-bargaining unit positions? Is that what that
Yes.
is? With the exception of the justices or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I
Because we
think
don't
you
get
gotta keep up with
the
all of it,
exception.
including trustees, you gotta get people to do this, and you gotta offer a little something, so 2% is
50 cents an hour goes up to 55 cents if we get 2% increase.
55.5 rounds up to 56.
Doesn't even cover the gas mileage.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't.
I think if we go over the 2% cap, I feel uncomfortable taking any money.
Oh, I don't wanna go over the cap.
But
I don't want to
we
go over
don't
the
know
cap
that
either.
yet.
Yeah, well, we do, we'll have to, we can make it so we're not, that's for sure. I have no,
I
Well,
don't
you have
know
to
what-
make it so it's not, take my salary out,
That's what I was saying.
take my increase out.
oh, I agree, I agree. If that 2% increase for us is gonna put us over the salary cap,
Right, right.
we would definitely,
So-
I would say we should.
So right now, there's no increase in board of trustee and mayor salaries. Are you guys saying you would like to see a 2% increase done?
I think you have to keep up. You gotta make sure you offer a little something to get people to, I mean, I'm not just talking about people here, but to people to do.
So Dan is thinking yes, he'd like to see it.
It's a very de minimis amount of money, but at least it
Yeah.
keeps some pace.
And by the way, remember that this number is just the 66%
What's the,
of the overall salary. Because remember, the salary is 66% out of general, 17 out of sewer, 17 out of water.
what was the trustee salary? It was like 40,
Let me go back.
and what was the,
Well, 44 if we.
if you do 2%?
This is what we're paid this fiscal year.
Yeah.
This is what we're
So
paid
it
this
goes up
fiscal
about
year.
$70 divided.
We're not.
You're talking
No,
about
cause I'm taking it out.
$86.
$8 a month.
$86 it goes up.
Yeah, $8 a month.
Divided by 12.
Yeah, $8
Yeah.
a month.
Not even, not even.
It's 2 quarts of ice cream at Stewart's on sale. Just say, yeah, just saying, $3.98, you get 2 half gallons.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but
So just so you guys know,
River cruises in
The 2% increase is this much of a difference in money.
$800.
I don't think it's gonna break the cap.
Guys, did you hear that? A 2% increase would be for all mayor, deputy mayor, trustees
It's
would be a
actually
difference of
$779.
Sorry.
That's what it is, $779.
Oh, that's.
boom.
It's 150 half gallons of
Can you
ice
believe
cream.
it?
Elected officials giving themselves raises.
Oh, can you imagine?
I gotta go have some of that at my job.
Divided
Sure,
by-
absolutely.
Divided by 12.
So
Divided by
I'm
7.
sorry.
so we can have Denise
Keep it.
run the numbers to throw it in the budget. We don't have to do that right in this moment. We could have the numbers as placesetters, and if we find we need to go back to nothing, we can go back to nothing. What's the general consensus right now on 2% raise versus no raise?
I think just you gotta keep pace, man. 2%. If you're gonna do the non-bargaining unit for non-bargain positions, just do 2%.
All right. Bobby,
Yeah, I agree.
Megan,
Yeah.
Doug,
No raise.
You talking about for trustees? And-
trustees,
No.
mayor, no raise.
Are you
can't
talking
do it.
about judges too, or no?
I'm looking at it like this.
I don't know if I don't think I budgeted the judges. We can do that separately. I think
Keep it.
We don't have to.
I'm hesitant on the raise for this year, but I also know that habitually we've had more no raises than raises in my time as mayor.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You
But
can go
you-
back and see.
Yeah.
Here's the other side of it.
It's only $800 in a budget.
I
It's
know,
not a
and,
huge
and
deal.
also as far as the judges go, Rustino's making about the same as the mayor. I mean,
I don't understand why that's the case.
I don't.
I don't understand why the
Yeah, that's
acting justice
crazy.
is paid less than the elected justice.
He serves more time.
What's that?
He covers more time too, I know, I don't understand that.
I'll have to ask Denise about how that pay structure got set up. I was very confused by that.
That's
Hi,
a good-
Denise. Historically, I know the justice that's elected is paid more than the acting justice. Why is that?
Are they complaining?
Arraignments and all that.
No,
No, we're
And-
different.
and I do wanna just caution against thinking about these as people, as individuals, and think about it as the positions.
No, I'm not talking about individuals.
Right.
I'm thinking-
I don't understand why there's such a big discrepancy. When I was putting together the salary sheet of it, I was like, wait a minute, that's interesting.
Why wouldn't they? I don't understand why they just wouldn't be the same.
I don't understand that either.
It's always fun.
I don't understand why
It's
one's
always been
elected
this
and the other's
way.
not.
It may be a weird Nikon Village Law thing. I'll ask Elena on that one. So the general consensus of the board is to do the 2%, but there's 2 no's and I'm very hesitant. I would probably side to the no. So, but we can figure out the numbers and be ready to punch them, throw in the original numbers. So we'll just have to keep those numbers handy later. So I just want to throw that out to
So
you.
you're gonna increase it by 2 right now?
No, we'll do it we'll do it like tomorrow or something
Okay.
when we're not here. We can figure that. And I'm gonna send you the spreadsheet when we're done so we have it. All right. So we can revisit the salary stuff. We'll adjust the board of trustees and mayor. Treasurer is
Minus 10%.
minus. Yeah, right. She throws the laptop at you and leaves.
Thanks, Dan.
Doug, what was the one you'd want to talk
Really
about?
We
appreciate
have
it.
to go back to attorney code enforcement.
What number is that one?
14, 20, 43.
Okay. By the way, before we get to that one, this is where I threw in the data, the website person or data or whatever services. So it's under village clerk because the village clerk will be working with that person so
Yep.
much, but we can adjust that later and add a number. Okay. Code enforcement attorney. That makes no sense that we've only put in 500.
Right.
That I'm gonna say I missed that, and that's my bad
I
on
say
that.
4,000. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know what the charge is or any of
I think that makes
500 bucks
sense.
is like 2.5
4,000
hours.
over a
Yeah.
year.
Probably, especially if it's gonna be
Call
getting
the
back this
paralegal.
year.
Well, if we hope he's gonna get busier, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. 2 emails.
That's what, he wakes up in the morning, you get 500.
I'm gonna change it to 4,000.
that. Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
That's fair. That's a good catch, Doug, too.
Okay.
Next one's 1460.1 records
Not even
management.
All right, we're moving on to expenses, page 4.
1460, we have $3,000. We don't spend it.
That was what we budgeted for the last year, but we have not budgeted it this year.
It was not budgeted.
I don't think
What
so.
does that mean, records management?
We
Oh.
had paid someone to help organize the files down in the basements.
It was for.
That was back when Brian Bushner was.
Oh,
It was.
Or whoever the records management
Oh, yeah, it
clerk
was.
was.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it was-
that's good.
Yeah, there is nothing in there
Okay.
for this.
Right.
Highway Department summer help, 5, 10, 13.
I saw that too, Doug. I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Let me jump down there.
And I think that was probably on me. I think I did it out another third where really,
Oh yeah, that's
they
like
don't really, you guys don't
I
usually
would lower
appoint
that.
anybody.
I would lower the 9,000 and change to 7,000, which is close, a little bit more than what we did this year.
last year we brought in 2.
No, we brought in 3, but only one was like part-time. Sammy,
Fowler?
Fowler was like half the time, and then he didn't work.
There was somebody else, Senecal.
And it was Senecal, right, they kind of
Right.
split, almost, it was a full-time between the two of them.
Right.
Okay. So we brought in 3, but that's right, one of them.
One of them was Kenny's son,
Okay.
the other one.
And he ended up getting a job, I think, somewhere else or something like that. But he didn't work for us. And even though we're technically talking personnel, these would be public records. We would approve these in budget meetings or board meetings, so
Yes,
we would be
yeah.
fine to say names and things of that nature. So we have summer help in here at 9,300. Has Kenny talked to you about how many he's looking to hire?
He did not yet, no.
Do we want to hire just 2?
I mean, we can, yeah, I mean, that would make, I mean, if, I don't think Kenny has it, well, cause Charlie Stoll's in the guard, so we lose him for some, whenever, like, once, what's that, once some,
1 week in a month, 2 weeks.
1 weekend a month or something like that, and
Yeah.
then 2 weeks, like, during the
In the
course of the
summer,
year,
they go
right,
some-
yeah. We can, I mean.
Doug, what was your thought with that
Two
number?
people.
What did you want to see? Higher or lower?
7,000. Just a little bit more than what we did.
We
I'm
can
trying to
certainly
find
change.
one-
Right, cause you figure the actual is,
Yeah.
the actual is current, because
The
we're
actual
not,
is
because
current,
it's
we're not
done,
spending-
right, yeah, summer's over.
I've been sort of maybe related question. When we had the convicts helping Jerry. I can't think of the word.
Community
Community
service.
service. Thank you.
Community service.
No.
Yes.
School was on it.
Wait, we stopped doing that.
Is Donald?
She should be.
Community service.
Right, because
Community service kind of fell by the wayside as
COVID.
COVID
If we
and a
had
lot
that-
of reasons.
If we had that back,
I love her.
if we had that, did we pay,
Yeah.
did we pay Jerry to do that?
Then you have to pay Jerry.
Yeah.
I was
Please, I
thinking-
leave.
Well,
Yeah.
first off, I don't know if Jerry would want to do it
No,
again.
I know, but I'm just trying to, thinking out loud that, which is dangerous, I know, but, but what,
You were on.
maybe we need less summer help if we've got the community service.
You can't, yeah, but I don't
You
think that's
can't
something
bank on the community
Kenny
service
wants to be
funds.
dealing with people who are, we've
No, we
had,
have to get somebody else to
Yeah.
do it,
Run the
but-
community
Give them a
service
list.
program?
Yeah.
Are
yes,
we,
can
are,
do that.
hey guys, are we talking about the sheriff's program?
Yeah.
where
No,
you-
no,
No.
no, it's totally different deal.
Oh.
The
Okay,
village
so
used to
it's
have
everything.
one that came out of our village court where the justices would order people to do community service and Jerry would oversee that and sign off on it.
Village.
It was a great program and Jerry did a phenomenal job.
Cause we could do that, just make a list.
So going back to
Jerry.
Doug's point on this, I think it's certainly the board's decision to say we need to cut costs somewhere, so we're gonna limit Kenny to 2 people. Sorry.
Look,
Well,
let's
7,000
cut
was
it down
the
to
same as
the,
this
let's
past
cut
year.
it down to what the Doug said, what you said, 7? And then,
70,
and
uh-huh.
if Kenny thinks that we need additional help, we can,
Sure.
we can address it at that point, yeah. I
Get that?
agree.
7,000?
But as far as that,
Okay.
the community service stuff, what happened with that was Jerry stopped doing it because during COVID, it kind of
Right, there was no way to do it.
non-existent. And then when it came around to, when COVID stopped, to be honest with you, the judges stopped delegating, penalizing people with community service and fined them instead. So
Oh,
you
so
gotta
it's-
watch, it's a 6 to
Yeah.
1, we want the money or we want to get,
Right.
and Jerry, and the thing about it, we had to pay Jerry to supervise as well. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's like, that was like a one hand washes the other. We got what we wanted.
He made more than summer help.
Right, Jerry made more
Well,
of the
yeah,
summer
I
help,
think-
right. Nothing against Jerry, I'm not, no.
Yeah, no, the other,
No.
the village did always look so nice and spruce when Jerry was on.
Oh,
And next
great.
line,
Why did we? Yeah. What do you want to do next?
5110.44 vehicle repair.
Got it.
We moved that
We
20.
didn't budget that at all last year. We projecting to spend 25,000. We're budgeting less than that. If we don't buy new vehicles, I don't know. It seems
that was-
like that's low if we're going to be keeping aging vehicles and going out replacing them.
That
I
was
don't
the
know why we're
line that
projecting
we had to
spend-
move, Doug, remember?
Hmm?
That was the line that was, the 20,000 was in the .42, it was just a typo.
Oh, okay. So what's the number for projection?
20,000.
Oh, we moved that
Right.
before. Yeah,
Right.
sorry, we did this right before you got here. It is 20,000 in the .44 line.
Yeah, but that's lower than what we were projecting to spend this past year.
No, that wasn't the same one, because it's already in here. The 511.44 vehicle repair, it's already in here.
Oh, it is 20. Oh, so you're saying it's not enough?
Yes.
It's not enough. Well, I'm questioning it, particularly if I have aging vehicles
It's-
and we haven't made decisions about
less
what we're
than
buying or
last year.
leasing or whatever.
I mean, it is significantly
And
less.
we got
And-
slammed this last year.
And just so you know, the vehicle repair number went down from 2021, 2021, 22 because we didn't have Greg Gardner doing our repair work prior
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
Greg's only been with us for like, this is his third year,
Yeah.
I believe, since he retired. So the
That's the
number,
reason
So-
why.
so we were paying Delories that money. The vehicle repair was higher then because we're paying Greg an hourly rate versus paying Delories like $100 an hour versus.
So why would we project less this year than we spent this
I-
past year?
I think that's
That
wise.
I don't know.
I think we can change that. What do you want to change that
I'd
to?
say 25.
That's a safe number.
Yep. That may not be enough, but
Right.
Yeah, I don't, well, it depends
Okay.
on what we do about vehicles.
Right.
yep.
Yeah. Because one idea of buying vehicles is we won't be repairing them.
Why is the street light number so high?
Yeah, let's go to that. I got some more before we get there.
Oh, there's more before there?
Yes.
All right, keep going, Doug.
Street maintenance, 511046.
Got it.
We budgeted 50,000, which is considerably more than this last year. We only spent up to 3,000.
Why are we?
So
What are we planning on doing that we didn't do?
that was the conversation I called Kenny, and he's got the sweeper coming, which would be between 10 and 12,000.
Okay.
He sent the guys to buy risers, and there was another piece. So he's
So
thinking-
those expenses come. They just don't come until the end of the fiscal
Right.
year.
Right. So I'm not even sure if they're projected. I didn't change anything till we had this meeting
Okay.
because I didn't want anything to be different than what you had.
Sure.
So, you know,
Can we check
realistically,
with him where the 50,000
I think we
is
should.
realistic?
yeah.
You know.
What do you say the risers, Denise? What's the risers?
Yeah, what are the records?
Something to do with the storm grates, I believe.
Oh, to
it's
raise
on-
them up
gotcha.
higher.
Okay.
In fact, there's two in particular in the village. I've been
There's
like, we
some
need to
really
adjust
bad.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Is the one by the
riser
armory?
was.
By the way,
The one by the armory.
yeah, and I think they fixed the one over by.
Oh, yeah.
I think they fixed the one over by Barton Ave. That was bad. If you
Yes.
turned that corner too hard,
Yes.
it was a car wreck.
There's some
Yes.
breakdown.
Um,
There's one like that in Mechanics.
what we should
Is
do
there?
is I will send you this with red changes. If there's
Yes,
any
we want
changes you
risers,
make,
budget
you can
lots
color
of
code
those.
them green so we have them.
Okay.
And it's easy.
Yeah.
To that point, Doug, we will follow up with Kenny about that number and see if there's a change that we can make there. What do you got next?
The snow contract. I think presumes we're gonna have as light of a winter as we had this past winter, and I don't think, we've never spent as low as we spent this past year.
What number you at, Doug? I'm sorry.
5142.
142.4. We're budgeting 15,000.
Yeah, I did see that.
And I'm looking at the past years, and I think it's only because we didn't have a rough winter. And I'd be nervous about saying we're assuming climate control is gonna continue that way.
What do you want to?
Yeah, because we
budget
budgeted
for?
60,000 last year,
Yep.
and we're going down to 25 this year.
Yeah,
Noting that we only spent 14.3 this year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or eight.
This
Sorry,
year is-
eight. We're
Yeah.
well,
This
why
year was
are
a
we?
real anomaly, though.
Well, hold on a minute. We're projecting out 18, but that doesn't make sense because we're done with snow season.
No, we're not.
We're not.
Because I did talk to Kenny on this one. He
You had to buy.
he had to order like 130 more tons.
130 tons
Yeah,
of salt.
Yeah.
to reach his quota.
Okay.
That's gonna be anywhere to another 10,000.
I believe that we have to pay for it whether we
So-
get it.
We
or
do,
not.
Right,
we do,
right.
or we don't get state contract price.
Right.
Okay.
If we don't order the minimum
So-
requirement,
We
we
gotta
don't
stuff
get.
it somewhere.
Right.
I think 25 might be a more,
So this number here, the contractual line,
Yeah.
up it to 25.
Yeah.
What are we budgeting there? Is that the salt and the overtime?
0.1 would be the personal
For snow removal,
service.
the snow.
Yeah, the contractual, what?
Point one is
what
the
budget?
hourly.
It's like their hour, I think their overtime.
They're over-
So
probably
interestingly
wear and
enough,
tear.
there's two scenarios that happened this year that I think were not normal. The first one was we had fewer snowstorms, and the second one was a lot of the snowstorms were during working hours. Did you notice that?
Yeah, not weekends.
A lot of the plowing was actually during instead of the weekends.
Ask her about
Not on Christmas when it's double.
Yes.
I think it's
So,
okay.
from the municipal point of view, I was exceedingly happy about that.
Is it- oh,
The school teacher side, whatever.
Is that
But,
true? You only had one snow day this year?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think we actually had two.
Yeah, a couple
You had
two
to
hours.
have-
I feel like we had
Yeah.
two because
So
I
you
feel
guys
like we have
do-
five.
You guys do delay, you do delays, right?
We did a couple
Delays.
delays. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do too.
Can you check, I think I missed it, 5110.2, the equipment, is that the one that we changed?
5110.
No, it's talking about $3,000?
Alright,
Is
so
it
that's,
zero?
yeah,
We budgeted 3,000 for new equipment, but I don't know what that was for.
I'm not laughing right now.
We didn't
We
budget
didn't
anything for
want-
new
What is that, a
equipment.
decal on
Equipment
an
from
old
the highway.
truck? Or?
Last year's note section is probably in there, but I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, what do we project for that one?
Is that to
Was that
cover
like a
up the
leaf
rust?
blower or something? A couple leaf
That
blowers?
was,
something.
that was some
With some
welding.
spray paint, just
I feel like the
Come on,
3,000 what from last year was for like a couple of the smaller tools, leaf blowers or a riding mower. No, the riding mower we'd put in sewer because it was for the sewer plant.
And we just had to buy actually 2 leaf blowers.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's gonna get spent.
They had budgeted.
Okay, this will be spent because we just bought 2 leaf blowers and a couple other things. Do you think, Megan? Do you want us to put a couple thousand in for equipment for DPW, for smaller things, so they have that line?
Well, every other,
I mean-
there's a number of years they spend
I
nothing.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
So I don't know, why budget if we don't know what it is?
yeah, I just saw that it was blank.
I know 2 years ago or last year they knew they needed a riding mower for the sewer plant that would stay there, so they priced it out. We budgeted this.
I mean,
This one we think was for leaf blowers and a couple other things, so maybe we can revisit this with Kenny as well.
yeah, maybe talk to him. and see
And
what's
Bobby,
going
can you
on.
follow up with Kenny on that?
That's actually where the bigger equipment would be as well, dump trucks.
in
That's
this
what I-
line?
510.2?
510.2
10.2.
equipments.
Yeah,
Like that
so-
39,225 and column
Right.
G was, that was whatever that last piece of bigger equipment was, and we allocated it, I think, into 3 funds.
And what line
Is that
was
the
that,
back
please?
truck?
The 5110.2,
5110.2 is the one you talked about.
possibly, it might have been the back.
That may have been the vac truck, and we probably bounced it with
Yeah.
Sewer and Water because Sewer and Water used it as well.
Okay, I didn't see that 39 then, okay.
And also.
But didn't we also
chips-
buy a sander for for Kenny's,
So this
well,
is for
Neil's
additional stuff.
pickup,
So
that, that,
It is
I
that's
remember
what,
that.
that was a sander,
So we already
I
know
think,
that we-
So a
from
new-
Zwack or somebody.
There was a
or-
plow that got broken too, but I don't know if that'd be vehicle repair equipment.
A new dump truck would go in that line.
Yes.
If that one.
Yes.
Also, CHIPS money, I believe, unless they've changed it, I would wanna check, but
Maybe visit the.
if we buy anything new that can be used to do CHIPS projects, I believe, if it's brand new,
It could be used.
we can use 30% of CHIPS
Yep.
money.
Okay.
Oh, so say if we bought a new truck, we could use 30%
I mean,
of the
we
CHIPS
got-
money towards that, that would definitely.
As long
Well,
as
that
it's-
goes back to my point, if we don't get the chip money, then we have to budget the money.
Yeah.
You
Right,
got it.
Right.
So,
This is the
Well, we
list of the
still have
trucks.
to budget for
It's
the truck
2005.
regardless, but.
Yeah.
yeah, but we
But
haven't yet.
2005 international
We have not.
dump truck, 2005 international dump truck, 2008 international dump truck, 2001 international dump truck. Like we're gonna have to replace these.
Definitely. Definitely.
And the worst part, they have, none of them have over 40 or 50,000 miles on them.
Well, when their bodies are rusted out.
They're
Yeah.
hard miles though.
They
No,
are.
yeah, they're hard miles, there's, yeah, a lot.
To go back to the snow line, did we want to up the contractual hours
70,000
expense?
Or an over-the-road truck is the drive.
But chips contractual?
2 million.
Do you guys want to anticipate more hours spent for snow this coming year on the hourly side? This was a.
Safe.
I mean, we have 10,000 budgeted.
I still think 10 is
We have
fine.
10. I think that looks
Okay.
good.
That's fine with
What do
me
you
if you
think?
guys are fine with
What do
it.
you
That's
think?
fine. Can always adjust later.
It's a
It,
crapshoot.
it is a crapshoot.
Right.
It is a crapshoot. So
I think,
Nostradamus. What do you think?
yeah, I would budget a safe amount based,
well, I mean, if you think about it, 17 last year, 3,200
Well,
this
so here's the
year.
question, if you have $10,000 and we have a really bad where it snows, we've had a few years like that, it just never stops.
Sure.
Can we pull money from other places?
Yeah, budget modification.
Alright,
Yeah.
well, we gotta.
Which we
Yeah.
haven't done.
And
5 years,
in the
probably.
case of,
years.
of really bad snowstorms, if it happens the night before, then that next workday they're on the clock doing snow removal, moving it, dumping it, wherever, all that stuff. So, yeah. All right.
You had brought up about streetlights, Rob.
Yeah, streetlights. Why is
Doug
that
and I
number
looked
so
at
high?
this. This is where the RTE was paid from. The RTE, they've
Oh,
gotten
we
three
paid
payments.
the audit.
Yeah, well, we've made them 3 payments, and right now the amount was escaping me. We also, Bradley's put receptacles on poles for
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that was
brand.
On downtown.
So
Yeah.
all of that is in that line.
But are we expecting that much next year?
It's so great.
Are we
Thank you
moving
very
to
much.
LEDs?
And we're moving to LEDs.
Right, but remember, we're based on the RTE, we're not going to start seeing
Right.
Savings.
savings
Right.
for 7.5 years.
No, I understand that. Like the program pays itself over long term.
Right.
Did we budget that number properly for what we're gonna need to spend next year?
Because we don't.
Because part of that I thought was there's some sort of debt procedure that we'll do with them.
It's a TELP,
Tell.
wasn't that?
But there was still some, wasn't there still some out of pocket? Aside from the TEL?
I think once that we get to that point, all of those out of pocket things come in and are covered in that.
I don't remember. That was,
Hey Ron, it's almost 8:30, you guys wanna keep going?
Is there how much more do you have in the
That's
general?
it for this without talking about additions.
What is shade tree?
Shade
What
tree.
number is
There's a
that?
line that says shade tree.
Isn't that Kevin's?
It's contractual. It says 8.
What's the number?
It's page 7,
8560.
8560.4. Shade tree.
I love that you
contractual.
have these memorized. That always will blow me away.
I assume that's a new tree.
I'm thinking it's gotta be an actual.
What
tree.
page you on, Meg? I'm
is.
sorry.
8560.4, bottom of
Oh my
page 7.
it's if we replace trees, but then we had all those trees donated this year,
Right.
so.
Right.
It's I just saw that. I have it written down.
Yeah.
Are there more that we're taking down and putting up?
Well,
Yeah, I'm like, what is shade tree?
there's 3 more in the park that are earmarked that are dead or
I like it.
what go. I'm not so sure we want to take those down all at once
I
because we're
agree.
gonna leave the park barren.
I agree.
And just so you know, it's on the other side of Everly Way. It's
Behind the church.
St. Mark's Church side is where the trees are, and going up towards the Wood Park apartments.
So
If we take them down, that's
I
Gonna
think
be
it's
pretty
good to
barren.
leave that in there in case there's a need to replace a tree
Oh,
or two.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
we're going to have to.
yep.
Is that? I mean, I don't know how much a tree costs.
very expensive.
Right.
Well, put it this way.
I think that's
Surprising.
where our flip flop from the snow is happening. Instead of snow removal, it's trees and everything
Yeah.
else
Sure.
from wind
Yeah.
damage.
Wind and rain.
Yeah.
Yep. Which happen a lot.
Gotta pick up our sticks.
Yep. Any other expense lines you want to discuss before additions?
We're gonna do additions tonight?
We can put off on that because the water and sewer are smaller and I think easier. So I think if we decide on
Some
a
research, why don't we put off additions till the next meeting?
Sure.
We put together some additional.
And we can get some information from like Kenny
And then we,
and
we
sure.
zero in on it then.
Yeah.
In terms of next meeting, what is your availability Monday night and Tuesday night?
Tuesday night's the half annual meeting,
Oh,
and they invited village and town.
Yeah, I can't.
Tuesdays no.
I can't.
Haka.
Haka.
They invited us?
Yeah, I got it.
I'm there every Monday.
I
Didn't
saw
say
an
anything to me.
invitation, I saw a
Well.
written invitation.
I don't know if I got one.
It came out there, yeah, oh, it was in the paper.
Oh.
I'm there every Monday, so.
But Monday's good for me.
Monday works. Both work for me, so I'm fine with whatever.
Wait,
I
need my
might,
calendar.
I was doing a contract in Herkimer County at 3:30, so.
Ooh. So you may not be here or be
Monday's
late.
the 29th?
You wanna do Tuesday so Dan can do that?
I've got Boy Scouts, soccer, and then Justin.
Okay.
Trying to get him back.
Tuesday?
Yeah, Monday. No, Tuesday. I'm good.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Brett will be there.
I mean, there's also no shame in us also doing a little bit on Monday.
Pardon?
Okay,
Don't
We-
hold it up on me, you guys, I'm not a super duper numbers guy, so.
I mean, if we only got
But we'll be making some major
this
decisions.
far
at that point.
today,
Yeah, Dan, we'll be making major decisions on it. So
I don't think.
Oh, okay.
you don't think we'll need a second one?
No, I'm projecting a third meeting.
No, we can't, we can't have a third one. Well, we have to have it approved by May 1st, by Wednesday.
So,
By midnight.
By Wednesday.
well, what do you want to do? Monday or just put it all on Tuesday? And it's on us, and we all have to do some legwork in the meantime.
If you started at, I mean, if you started at 7 on Monday, I guarantee you'd be here, right?
We could also start it at 6 and catch you up on things, and we'll just
Yeah,
when you get in, we'll
that's
walk
fine.
through.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
Whatever you
schedule
do.
it for Monday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And that way we can, we
So
can
Monday?
plan on being here as long as we need to be on
6 o'clock?
Wednesday.
Well, that's why
I know
I was like
Tuesday.
Tuesday, like.
I'll write the
And
notice
worst
tomorrow,
case,
and we'll put it up everywhere as we normally do.
We have
Right, Raj?
Tuesday
If
versus.
we're here.
Yes, we'll do it here. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually,
That sounds good. We'll do Monday.
no, you know why?
Tuesday.
That's our only projector that's mounted here. That's why I'm not doing it at the. You don't have a second projector there. Yeah.
Here or at the village hall?
It'll be here because I don't have a second projector for the village hall. This was the one I was carting back and forth, but once we mounted it, it had to be here.
So is everybody's general consensus, I mean, we all kind of have a little bit of following up to do with different people and different. Do you wanna kinda email what you guys find out and I'll make those changes and
Yes.
Rob's gonna send me his
Yep.
in red tonight?
Yep.
We'll do whatever everybody emails in green, or do you wanna wait until?
Yeah, if you guys send changes to Denise, she can make the changes in green and we can note that, and then we can all see it and go over changes. Or we can just discuss ideas as well. It's whatever works best for you guys.
Doug, are you actually colorblind?
Yes.
Oh,
So
so.
green won't work.
so
What
the-
colors can,
I'm just saying the
can you see
changes
this
for
is
him
red?
aren't really gonna be
do you see
noticed.
that's a different color?
What's red?
This right here, the mouse on the right.
No, I can't see that.
Okay.
Do you see what, any colors?
It looks the same color.
Oh, you're colorblind?
Put it in bold or
I'm
italic.
colorblind, but
Yeah, but can
sometimes
you
I'll see.
bold, can you bold?
I just don't see what you guys see. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
I can bold it.
What
Yeah,
if we,
so that
Well, I'm
kind of
just-
stuff, I
I'm-
can't, red is terrible.
I'm just saying you're not gonna see, you wouldn't really notice
Yeah,
the
so you-
changes then if that was the case.
Yeah,
No,
but
highlights I
Rob, but
can
if
see.
Rob's shading
Highlights
it,
you can see,
Highlights,
okay.
Do you have a
Rob's
list of
shading
changes
the whole
going
thing.
already, Rob?
Alright, that
Just
works,
don't,
yeah.
just don't tell me, I won't know if it's yellow or green
Oh,
or
yeah,
orange.
that's-
But
It's
you-
not highlighted.
I'm gonna put a yellow
If it's
background in there
shaded,
as
you
well.
can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That number was
Sometimes
the
shades.
utility
Numbers don't
tax?
come
We
out
talked
with
about
shades
that.
either.
I didn't
Yeah.
change anything. So Doug,
Light shading, light
Doug, if I
shading.
put this shading
That
behind it,
Oh, yeah.
then I'll go through and do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alright.
speaking of next Tuesday, next Wednesday.
Monday next.
No, well, next Monday. Next Wednesday is well, as you know, our 200th anniversary is coming up.
Oh, I saw that first meeting.
Who's it
May 1st.
Yeah, that's
May
good.
1st. I'll send you all a thing, an email.
All right.
But yeah, at the sandbar, so.
May first is
It's wing night,
the
too.
anniversary for what?
Yes, Who's
Perfect.
Rising is kind of taking the lead
It's a
in
Wednesday.
planning and organizing.
All right. So
And
I'm. Oh, sorry. Because I want to move to executive session.
So we'll kind of take the lead on it. We'll work with Joyce at the Historical Society and
Yep.
whoever wants to be involved. But it should be a
Okay.
fun thing.
Should be.
Unless there's anything else you want to bring out in public meeting, I'm looking for a motion to enter executive session
make
to
a motion.
discuss personnel with no matters to be approved afterwards. So that was
and Dan.
Doug and Dan. Standard motion, executive session, personnel. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Carries. We're going to enter executive session at 8:36 p.m.